After many months of racing, it's finally time for the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series regular season finale. We're back at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the next round of the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series season, and this one will eliminate all the drivers outside of the top 12 of the points before we set up those final 12 for the rest of the season in a chase format, which will eliminate 6 drivers halfway through, and those 6 will compete for the championship. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined here tonight by Liam Sheen. We're back at the old Charlotte Motor Speedway for some 1987 stock car racing, 200 laps from the home track of NASCAR. Liam, it's going to be a long one tonight. We've got a handful of drivers on the bubble, all separated by about 20 points. Going to be real tight, real fun race to watch tonight, especially around that bubble.
Yeah, that bubble battle is going to be probably the race here, as James Miller's been so strong, and so is Matt Gruenberg, to be able to just pull away from the field, and it's going to be a really close battle. With how close these guys have been on the track, they've usually been 1-2 seconds between each other, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this battle shakes out and who comes up on top.
Qualifying is underway now as we get rolling on the racetrack now. Jeffrey Fisher is rolling out on track for his qualifying effort, and we want to point your attention to the left-hand side of the screen on the timing and scoring. You're going to see drivers lit up in gold, and of course those drivers lit in gold are the bubbled drivers that are on the bubble right now, and of course they are Nick Boyd, Brent Miller, Jonathan Cogswell, Michael Goodman, Chuck Sweeting, and Skylar Nissel, all on the other side of they're all on either side, I should say, of the cut line here in the points. And if we want to go into the points exactly right now and tell you who is where, as it stands, right now in 10th, Nick Boyd sits at 306 points, tied with Brent Miller for 10th in the standings. Right behind them, 6 points back, is Michael Goodman. Then tied with him is Skylar Nissel, and 1 point beyond that, Chuck Sweeting. 1 point behind, or excuse me, 2 points behind that is Jonathan Cogswell, and Richard Hines is only 4 beyond that. So really, really tight battle here in the heading into the chase. And again, the top 12 drivers will be competing for a championship and payouts towards the end of the season. So with qualifying underway now, here, Liam, let's head down to the racetrack. You talked about the drivers at the top of the points picture. That's James Miller and Matt Gruenberg. Well, they're going to get reset here in the next couple weeks, and maybe we should keep our eye on Drew Eisenman, because he has been consistently good, and he is here tonight, and we'll see if he's in tip-top shape and ready for a chase contention here for a championship.
Yeah, Drew Eisenman has been one of those guys that is, if you just subtract James Miller from the picture, we could be talking about 2-3 race wins on the season, but James Miller's just been so strong, and Drew Eisenman always has to play bridesmaid to him. It's just, it's probably been frustrating for him not be able to, close out the deal just from James Miller's speed, but it's not a bad season by any means or stretch of the imagination, and it's been a really good season so far for him. So we're to see what he can do in the playoffs here. Definitely will be a guy to watch.
So qualifying is underway. We've got a handful of cars that have already laid down times. Matt Gruenberg has not gone on the racetrack yet. Tanner Sharp has in the number 3 Mountain Dew car. So running the throwback livery. I saw one car out here. I didn't see exactly who it was. Running a classic Doritos scheme. And I could have sworn, was it the 74? I don't know. We have to get a look at it later. But it was I was just watching a video today about classic chips, and I saw the old classic Doritos logo, which was really neat to see. So funny that I saw it today here on a race car. So Justin Colbot on track. He's 3rd in qualifying. Cameron Rich is here this week. He's already gone 2nd quick in that nice-looking black and silver Boeing car. That's a nice-looking Thunderbird.
Yeah, I like how that spec map really just shines, and man, it's a really good-looking car. It really shows that iRacing has done a good job with these spec maps, and everybody's taking advantage of them with their paints. So definitely a good-looking hot rod for that 17.
Brent Miller across the line for his qualifying car goes up into 7th. Drew Eisenman rolling out now in the pink Eisen Designs car. That's a good-looking livery as well. Strong paint schemes here to finish out the regular season, as looks like Race Clark has landed himself in 5th place with the Diet Dr. Pepper car. Brent Miller goes to 8th with a 31.341. Kevin Finn is back this week. He is currently 14th, last of the drivers who have laid down times. And there is Nick Boyd, and that's the car I was talking about as he rolls out in the very brightly colored number 74, and he will get his qualifying effort underway, and we'll probably just have time for one lap.
Yeah, that's you would think that's a Menards car with how brightly colored that thing is, but yeah, that's a good-looking hot rod, and I think it's just, I don't think it's just, to end the season. I think everyone's been doing a really great job making some good paint schemes for these cars. It's been, they all look really good, and, not stopping today. I mean, this 74 car looks pretty bright and really nice.
And Drew Eisenman is out on track as well. I'm curious to see what he will run lap time-wise off into turn number 3 and out of turn 4 again. and very safe in terms of the championship fight. And the points will obviously reset heading into next week. Across the line for him, 31.135. That's a good time. That'll tie him for second. Actually, it's a 31.134, so it puts him ahead and into second place over Cameron Rich in the number 17. And to second place goes Nick Boyd in the 74. So a strong run for him as well here late in qualifying.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he did a lot of homework before this race to try to get some, some extra speed, extra laps, and be right in the mix for it. And I'm not surprised at all to see him at the top of the chart, especially when he needs to have a good race here as he spins out here, probably just on his second lap. So Jeffrey Fisher, top of the chart. A guy that's not, I'm pretty surprised that hasn't gone top of the chart is James Miller. He's about almost I want to say 5/10 off, 6/10 off of the pole time. So pretty surprising effort by James Miller.
Yeah, he was the winner last time out. He has 6 wins, 6 wins, and his 6th came at Darlington a couple weeks ago, and he has got 3 times more wins than the next winningest driver, which is Matt Gruenberg at 2. And then, of course, Jeffrey Fisher has one, and Eric Mickey has one earlier in the season, and that is it for the win column for the field this year. So we'll head down to the racetrack here in just a moment, have one last look at the weather information. Should be heading into nighttime here with the time that we're looking at. This is going to be a long one tonight, so I guess we'll get settled in for one. But strategy is going to be a discussion, a topic of discussion as it always is. For the drivers on the bubble, you're playing the long game here, Liam. But what about the short-term points, like leading a lap or leading the most laps? Is that something you're going for, or are you only focused on the finish of this race?
It probably just depends where you are. I mean, if you're Nick Boyd, you're probably focusing on everything. You're trying to be up front the whole time and trying to get away from the field. So, but if you're some guys like Jonathan Cogswell, who may not have the speed, you want to go for those bonus points by any means necessary, whether it's staying out a few laps longer than you have to, or just trying to stay out on a caution or something that takes you to halfway. So it's going to be interesting to see what strategies unfold here, and it depends. It just really depends on who you are and where you are in points.
Well, let's start rolling through the starting grid here. On the front row tonight, going to be Jeffrey Fisher in the 98. He has 1 win this season. Nick Boyd on the outside in the 74 has none.
Drew Eisenman, a couple teammates here. Drew Eisenman in the 77 and Cameron Rich just besting out each other for the 3rd and 4th spots.
In row number 3, James Miller, 6-time winner this season. Certainly the championship favorite. Starts alongside Justin Kolb in the 52.
And back here you got Race Clark in the 22 and Chuck Sweeting in the 26. Both had strong runs this season.
In row number 5, Brady Smith in the number 20. Brent Miller starts 10th in the 89.
And in row 6, you got the number 3 of Tanner Sharp, so close last week to getting a win, and Michael Goodman in the 44.
And moving on behind them in 13th and 14th, Richard Hines and Jonathan Cogswell, the 87 and 27, starting alongside each other. In the 7th row, we'll let the rest of those scroll on the bottom of the screen as we get rolling here for our pace lap. And again, this is going to be a long race tonight, so we'll talk about fuel and tires. I'm sure that'll be a big topic of discussion many times tonight. But also the race to the chase, the top 12 drivers in the points. You can find those on the 3 Wide website, but we're focused again on the bubble around that 12th spot. And the drivers that are on the bubble, again, will be highlighted in gold on the ticker on the left-hand side of your screen. All right, field rolls out at turn number 2 behind the 98 of Jeffrey Fisher, who is your pole sitter for this race. And we'll get set to go racing. The field about 21 cars strong. And warming up those tires. It's a relatively cool evening here, so have to make sure that you've got heat built up as we prepare for 200 laps worth of racing. Live timing and scoring, as always, is available. simtvbroadcasting.com/timing for that. The pace truck is going to pull off, and this is the final race of the regular season from Charlotte Motor Speedway, the 3 Wide Cold Hard Art Cup Series, for its final time before the chase. As they come up double file, green flag in the air, we're racing from Charlotte.
And a little bit of an early jump there by Nick Boyd. He does a great job backing off a little bit just to not get a jumping the start penalty. But Nick Boyd with a really strong start here. He's going to go side by side in the one with Jeffrey Fisher. He's going to probably have to give up that spot there, but he's keeping it flat out on the high side. He may be able to get side by side in the backstretch. Not quite. He's going to settle right behind the 98.
The Aggressive drive all the way down into turn number 3. Fisher under attack from behind. The 17 of Cameron Rich underneath him. The 74 on the outside. They get back double file. 2 by 2 by 2. 3 rows deep. But a check up in the back as they come out of turn 4 here, Liam.
Yeah, Cameron Rich really wants to get to the inside to try to snag the lead away, but it's not going to happen as the 98 shuts the door. Nick Boyd not too far behind. He's trying to get that outside line to work, trying to get to his outside. But here comes the 17. He's going to come on the inside, trying to take the lead away from the 98. But the 98's going to have the momentum. They're going to be side by side going down the backstretch.
Still battling for the race lead. Cameron Rich is through to the top spot. Not quite clear. Now he is. Jeffrey Fisher going to try to roll the outside. Can't do it. He's going to have to tuck in behind the 17. Look at this. Behind them, Drew Eisenman and the 09 of James Miller. This is a no-bull 4 race. Drivers with the red numbers going to be going for an extra cash bonus. James Miller is one of those drivers in that 09 car.
Yeah, James Miller, he really wants to get some money out of this, so it's really nice to get an extra bonus. But here they are. They are really close to each other for the lead. Jeffrey Fisher all over the back bumper of the 17, and the 74 not too far behind. He wants to get by both of these guys.
And for the top spot, Cameron Rich is going to lead another lap. Jeffrey Fisher wants to get back by. It doesn't look like he's got the pace to do it, but he's right there just in case the 17 makes a mistake.
Yeah, and if I'm the 74, I'm just going to let these two battle it out, but that 17's washing up a little bit. That's exactly what the 74 and the 98 want to see. 98's going to try to take advantage of not quite having the momentum there. The 74, he has to back off, save his tires, and try to get these two to burn up on each other.
And Nick Boyd right up underneath. Cameron Rich slides up out of turn number 4. Fisher goes through to the lead again. And here comes the 74. Now Justin Kolb creeping into the picture as we see Race Clark slicing and dicing. Double file for second.
Yeah, that 74 wants to dive to the inside. Oh, really close there, but it's not going to be quite enough momentum to get to this inside there. But that 74, he's quicker than this 98 car just by a little bit. It's just going to be a matter of if that 98 makes a mistake and if that 74 can get the momentum.
Fisher leads. Remember that 74, the importance of him running well tonight. As it stands in the 74, he is in the championship chase if he were to finish as is right now. So the importance of not having a crash night is incredible. I think he just needs to have an okay night. A bad night will certainly take him out of it. We got a battle here for 4th now. Cameron Rich led this race early, now falling right into the clutches of James Miller in 5th. Well, for the lead, here they come to the inside. Here comes the 74.
Yeah, it was really aggressive move to the inside, but that 74 is going to take it away from that 98. The 98's not going to have the momentum. He's going to wash up, though. He may try to cross him over off the corner. A little loose for that 74. Not going to be enough for that 98 to keep the momentum, and he's going to barely clear him on the front stretch. At the line, it's the 74.
Into turn number 1. Nick Boyd takes the lead away by 1/10 of a second. The 98 goes to the bottom. The 52 way up high. I'm not sure that the outside lane is there. We talked about multi-groove kind of before the broadcast started here, Liam. You didn't think it was really going to come in. I kind of agree with you. I think it's going to be kind of a bottom-feeding race most of the night, but the 52 trying something different.
Yeah, it's more of a risk versus reward on those tires. If you're the 52, you can make it work if everyone else is saving. And he's going to try to get the momentum on the straightaway, but that right there, you see, he can't carry it down the straightaway. And it's just because of iRacing's dynamic track, you can't really get it rolling on the top side. But that 52 is going to be side by side with the 98. He's going to lose some momentum going into the corner.
Yeah, he's going to tuck back down to the inside line. See James Miller going to the high side. Big moment for him at the exit of turn number 2. Drag race down the backstretch with the 17 of Cameron Rich. Here comes Kolb now to the inside for second place. Oh, the 17 and 09, they touch off into turn number 3.
Yeah, maybe the 09's not really happy with that 17 as he actually ran up the track and actually smacked the wall off turn 2. So that 09 has a little bit of damage on that right front there. But that 52, he's in the clutches of that 09. The 09's going to take it to the outside right away. And I don't think it will be complete here, but James Miller, he's going to get that nice arc off the corner. The 52's washing up, and it's going to be side-by-side off 2.
Another race down the backstretch. It's been really solid racing so far. No one's been able to drive away. I think as the tires burn off, that story will change, but not even 10 laps in yet. So long left to go in this one as Miller and Kolb run side by side for 3rd, and Race Clark joining the party now. He does not want to be left out. He's looking 3 wide. We'll tuck in behind for now.
Yeah, that 52's not letting it up there, but 09's going to get a nice run in the corner, but that 52 gets a nice bite. But here comes the 22. He's not going to force it early.
Oh.
They make contact. 09 in the wall.
Oh, he's around. James Miller spinning down the racetrack, and he's going to just keep it off of the wall as the first caution of the day comes out. Miller loops it.
Yeah, that was a little bit of contact there. That '09 is pinching a little aggressively on that 52 car, and he smokes the rear tires there, so that's not something you want to do with these cars. But a little bit of aggressive pinching by that 50 or that '09, and it finally bit him. And that 52 washed up into him, and it just sent him around.
Now let's go back and have a look at how this all happened. We're going to have to go back just a little farther. Here is a look. They were side by side with the 52. Bit of a rub there. They're going to run each other up the racetrack, and he just tries to keep it off the wall and spins it around. But no real damage from any of that. He should be able to continue.
Yeah, nice job keeping it off the wall there. That was probably an inch from that inside wall, so kudos to him, but he's going to be at the back of the pack, and he has to pass everybody now instead of just 4 cars. So it's going to be a tough challenge for that '09, but if you saw the rest of the season here, it's not that hard for that '09 to get it done.
So we'll see 11 laps in. Will everyone take tires? I think we're going to see a big majority of the field peel on down. Here they come. Race Clark will stay out, and he might be the only one. That's an interesting choice as the rest of the field decides and elects to come put for Mr. Feelgoods on it.
And if you're the 22 there, that you're probably kicking yourself right now for that for staying out there. But everyone else is going to peel into pit road. Hopefully not miss their stalls, and they're going to take 4 tires and fuel and get themselves back out there as the 74 is in his stall. I thought he missed it there, but everyone's going to take some tires and fuel.
James Miller comes on down now. Maybe some minor right side damage to fix. While that was going on, I noticed our flag indicator was acting up a little bit. I think it's fixed itself now, judging by the caution. I'm going to cycle it through just to see if it'll stick where it's supposed to stick. And not actually, no, see, it's still getting caught on that. I'm going to give the theme a little restart. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back for the restart here in just a moment. Hang tight. Back live here on Sim TV. Things look to be somewhat corrected. You'll see the time at the top left of the screen. That is going to fix itself after it recognizes we're going by a lapped event here tonight. Otherwise, we're good to go. It'll correct itself there as we've got flags working again. Double file for the restart. Race Clark, Cameron Rich, Nick Boyd, Jeffrey Fisher, Justin Kolb, your top 5. And coming to the restart, working lap number 14 of 200. Still a long, long way to go. Drivers in gold on the ticker are the ones that are on the bubble, including the 3rd place driver, the 74, Nick Boyd. Green flag back in the air here from Charlotte. We're racing again.
A little bit of wheel spin from Race Clark, but he keeps it going right away, so that 22 is going to try to break away from that 17, but that 17 has fresh tires.
Way up the racetrack, everybody fanning out. I don't know what grip is up there and available for the 17 to use, but he's going to chase the car up the hill and clear the 74 for second. Car kind of blocking in the middle of the racetrack. That appears to be the 54, Matt Gruenberg. He's come all the way from the back, 18th to 7th, and here he is inside the top 10. He's always a threat to win. And while he hasn't won as much this year as we'd expect, he's certainly still in contention as the battle for first rages on into turn number 1.
Yeah, that 74 thought about cutting down right on that 17, and he thought better of it, but really close there. The 17 is going to be run up the racetrack, and here comes the 74 to try to take advantage. That 17 is going to get the run off the corner. The 22 can't carry it out as wide, and that's going to be allowing the 74 to help the 17 on the backstretch.
Race Clark wants the bottom 2. Thunderbirds now split 3 wide by a Chevrolet up the middle, and Nick Boyd's going to back out. Try this again. I don't think that was the place to make the move. Here comes Chuck Splitting, and that purple and black number 26. He's in the top 5 now, and he wants a part of this as well.
Yeah, 26 is always a threat to win anytime you go to a racetrack, so that's... Oh, wow, caution.
Corey Lindsay in the background, I think, was the one that went around. I think he had tried to reset before the caution flew, but that did not happen. And here's a look. We already got a bit of a peek there. As they came out of 4, was there a touch maybe from Skylar Nissel? No, he just ran. Wow.
Yeah, easy to do. These cars are the kind of, if you put in some wheel input, it really doesn't do much. So you got to really crank the wheel to get it corner. And that 0 is going to smack the wall there. Not the end he wanted, but it looks like that's going to be the way the cookie crumbles for Corey Lindsay. Pretty unlucky this season. Just not the way he wants to cap out the regular season.
Not a good season for sure. I was wondering when the pace truck was going to get on the track. He was like hugging the inside lane like it's rookie street stocks or something out there. Well, let's talk a little about what's coming up this week because we got some interesting and fun developments coming in the next few weeks and months. So if you haven't been around here on SimTV lately, you might not know, but I have been hired by Grid Life to work as a motorsports technologist full-time beginning in November. This will be no major change to the way that SimTV is run or operated. It will be a little bit more reduced schedule heading into next year. But one of the big changes, I'll be moving to Chicago from my current residence in Rochester, New York, and rooming with IMSA driver Tom O'Gorman, and he will be sort of the new Finian over there, over here on SimTV. So he'll be joining us much more often, especially for the road course racing. And you've probably seen him work with me on the Rodenzo Sports Car Challenge and more recently the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. So really excited about that development. I will continue working with GT World Challenge America next year, working for CrowdStrike Racing, along with all the Grid Life events. So weekends will be a busy time for me next year. But we hope to continue in hopefully a similar capacity to next year, at least with the leagues that we've been working with for a very long time. And speaking about what's coming up this week, tomorrow night is the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. Are heading to Lucas Oil Raceway Park to begin their championship fuel finals. And then, of course, Wednesday, the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. They are heading off to Donington National Circuit. Thursday, Scars Ferrari Challenge from no other than Watkins Glen. Friday, we're off. And Saturday, both Formula I from Montreal. Nope, that's not true. We have off, I forgot, off this weekend on Saturday because of Halloween. So trick or treat. We'll see you back the week after for Montreal for Formula I and for Outsider Racing League from Road Atlanta on November 7th.
Yeah, so I definitely can't wait for. Okay.
I was just going to say, it's been a crazy year at the very least, Liam. So I appreciate you joining me. This has been a wild one, and there's a lot of fun stuff coming.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I'm really excited for is Road Atlanta for Outsiders. I've been actually practicing up for that. So
are you racing that?
Yeah, I'm going to race in that, so that's going to be pretty fun to do. So can't wait to take it to those guys. And talking about Tom O'Gorman, he's one of those guys that is definitely a great guy to have in the booth here, and his knowledge on road courses is definitely a nice insight that we can have on the platform. So
yes.
Definitely excited for Tom O'Gorman to be joining SimTV next year on a more not a full-time basis,
correct,
but more a extended schedule.
Yep. And for those that don't know Tom's accolades, Tomo ran for E-Euro Parts Audi TCR team in 2018, and then ran a full season in 2019 in Michelin Pilot Challenge for LA Honda World in the number 37 Honda Civic Type R TCR. He accumulated 4 wins in that series, finished 4th in the championship in 2019. It is also a 2-time TC America winner in World Challenge in the TCA class and the TCB class. So very skilled driver, not currently in a pro car. We're working on that. As we come to lap number 20, 10% of the race is complete. When we come back to the stripe, green flag back in the air.
Pretty good restart for that 17 there of Cameron Rich. He's going to rip the top side there. I was actually surprised he took the outer line in the restart, but it seems to be working out way better than the bottom line has for most drivers. So the 17 of Cameron Rich is going to fire off into turn 3. Nick Boyd tried to challenge for the lead on the inside. Not going to happen, really close to the wall. He's almost ripping the seam up there, but man, that 17 got really close there. As the 52 hits the wall there, he's going to go backwards a little bit. Not too much, but he's going to keep it going as the 74 is going to challenge for the lead.
That was really wild. Cars slipping and sliding all over the racetrack. Cameron Rich almost got in the wall in the front straightaway like Corey Lindsay did a couple laps ago for the top spot. Side by side, Nick Boyd driving for a chase spot here. If he finishes as is, he'll be just fine, but don't risk it too early in this race. We're 10% of the way through our regular season finale as Nick Boyd crosses over and side by side for the lead as they come out of turn 4.
Yeah, if you're Nick Boyd, you can't beat yourself in this race. You got to keep it smart, but you have to be quick. You have to be in the mix of the economy. You just can't pull a lot of, many stupid moves to try to get yourself the lead early. But that 74 has been really smart so far. He's going to take it to the inside of that 17.
Oh, look at the counter steer that Cameron Rich has in that car. He's wheeling it right now, trying to find every bit of speed that he can, riding on board with him now as he heads down the back straightaway. And behind him, it's getting pretty racy. There's the 22 and 52 racing with Matt Gruenberg following in 5th.
Yeah, that 17 is hungry for a win. He hasn't won in a very long time in this league, so that 17 is trying to get his first win in a good while on a 3 wide. So he's going to try to keep the win away from that 74 car, but that 74 is going to try to drive away. He's been doing this all night tonight, waiting for that 17 to make a mistake, and he's going to try to drive away.
Good battle going on back here. Michael Goodman, the 44, another chase bubble competitor. And he needs to have a pretty good night tonight, so he's going to continue his charge forward. He is now 7th after starting in 12th. That's the right direction to be going, as for 3rd place, Matt Gruenberg for 3rd alongside the 52, and he's going to have this spot by the time they get to turn 1.
Yeah, and he's going to have it right away, actually. He's going to try to take the fight to the 1774. He's a little bit ways behind, but he's running the bottom, and he's been able to stick it further down than those front 2 leaders are, and that's giving him a little bit more speed on corner exit.
Riding on board with his teammate, Jeffrey Fisher, who was the pole sitter for this race. He has fallen back to 6th position, and now challenging to get back inside the top 5 with Race Clark. That's a dangerous spot to stick the nose on the outside on corner exit. They always called turn 4 here Calamity Corner back when it was a couple of years ago, 2011, 2012 area, because everyone used to hit that wall, and I would be very cautious about sticking my nose up there right now.
Yeah, it's a pretty trouble spot up there with how quickly that turn 4 wall comes up on you. If you hit it, you're going to be hooked into the wall all the way down the front stretch. So we saw with Corey Lindsay earlier that happened, but they're side by side for 2nd. That 17's really letting that back end hang out. You got to wonder if it's going to hurt him on the long run, but Matt Gruenberg's going to try to take 2nd away.
Yeah, you got to wonder about the rear tires burning off that 17. That right rear melts under high heat. Again, the bias ply tires will really heat up under high load, and Cameron Rich has been putting that load all on the right rear. And if you're pushing, it's the right front. So there's a good balance to have oversteer versus understeer. And I don't think the 17 has that right now as they head down the backstretch.
Yeah, you want to have a little bit of understeer because you can sort of manage it, but once you heat up those rear tires, that's going to start burning them, and once you hit that cliff, it's going to be a really tough time for you.
Slip for the race leader, Nick Boyd. Made a mistake, maybe got the apron in turn 3. Matt Gruenberg will go up the inside, and from 18th to 1st in 26 laps, Matt Gruenberg leads his first lap of the day.
Yeah, it's nearly a pass every lap, so Matt Gruenberg's going to try to drive away, and that 74 is going to try to keep 2nd away from that 17 to Cameron Rich. Oh, close up there. He thought he was going to slide up there, but he's going to stay side by side with that 74. He's going to keep the momentum on the backstretch.
Getting racy here for 2nd. It's also getting very aggressive back here for about, 18th or 15th place. Brady Smith and Brent Miller almost got together as they came out of turn number 2, but back to 2nd. Cameron Rich is not ready to give up the 2nd place position just yet.
Yeah, they've been staying side by side here. It's been a really tough battle between these two, and that's what Matt Gruenberg wants to see. And the more these battle, the more the 52 car is able to set it up for a long run pass on these two. So Matt Gruenberg's going to drive away here. I think he's going to pretty much have this in the bag as long as James Miller doesn't get by these guys in the next few laps.
I was about to say my inner Rick Allen that the 52 Justin Kolb just turned left because he did on the back straightaway there. Just pulled it hard to the inside line to try to make it 3 wide. Decided and thought better of it. He's going to look to the outside now, the 74, which I feel is a mistake at this point in the race. I still think the bottom of the racetrack is the faster place to be.
Yeah, I think the bottom is where you want to be, and if you want to go on the top, it's literally a risk versus reward thing. You can smack the wall, you can burn your tires up for, maybe 2 laps worth of tire wear in one corner. So, I mean, you got to be really, really timed with that top side pass there, but it's not going to happen for these two. The 17 chops the 74 there. That was really close. That could have been ugly.
Behind them, some good battles. Race Clark now is under attack from Michael Goodman, who again is trying to put himself in position to move on into the chase. Here's a battle between the 77 Weisman and the 3 of Tanner Sharp. This is for 9th. They're going to go off into turn 1, kind of running the middle groove with Cogswell hunting for the bottom.
Yeah, that 27 needs to have a good run here. He has to have a better run than he's having right now. I'm pretty sure that he's out at the moment. He has to get a few more spots on that bubble.
Yeah, Cogswell was coming in 15th. 2 points back from Chuck Sweeting, who is 1 back from the tie for 12th. So it's pretty tight, but Cogswell, again, he's going to have a much better night than the drivers around him in the bubble to move up, and especially over Chuck Sweeting. And while Chuck Sweeting is buried in 17th right now, that helps his case a little bit. He's still a little bit too close to him. I think he's got to solidify this a bit more. Justin Kolb is busy right now. He's almost 3 wide at the exit of turn 2, slams the door on the 74.
Yeah, you'd think it's Talladega with how he's controlling these 2 lanes, but he's keeping him behind him. Really aggressive driving here. And James Miller, they had a scuffle earlier in this race, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see maybe a little bit of payback here.
Out of turn number 4, 5 drivers between 2nd place Cameron Rich and 6th place Jeffrey Fisher in that little group. Behind them, there's the 77, kind of blocking the 3 and the 22, one a Chevrolet and one a Ford Thunderbird.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm starting to see here is, you're able to block these 2 guys, but, it's more of a driver's courtesy from behind. So, maybe late in the race if someone tries to block like that, and they see, no lip there, but everyone's going to sort themselves out, and a little bit of scuffle for, I believe that is 11th or 10th place there. Jonathan Cogswell trying to get it away from Grace Clark, but they're to sort it out.
I love how fast we're going on the straightaways here. You can see it at the start-finish line, well into the 170s, 180s, 190s. I wish we could quite get up there. I don't think we're quite there here at Charlotte in these cars, but hauling on the straightaways as well. Tanner Sharp, Grace Clark slipping up the racetrack in turn number 3. Clark goes for the gap. Door gets shut. But good battles so far in the first 33 laps of this race. Can you imagine that there's an hour and 29 minutes of racing left to go?
Yeah, and this has been you'd think there'd be a few more cautions with how these guys are driving, but they are so aware and so in control of their cars that they're able to make holes that shouldn't be there, and they're able to hang it out a little bit and drive it off the corner. So it's been really interesting to see these guys drive their cars, use the top side, and be able to make some passes happen. It's not something you see really much on iRacing anymore.
Well, especially not with the modern Cup cars. The passing ability has gone way down, and I didn't think we could pass very well at Darlington last week, but that's sort of a given with a track like that. I mean, it's narrow and it's tricky, especially with a car that's this challenging to drive. It's difficult to formulate passes and complete them. But this week, the track is wide, and it's got a lot of banking, and you can lean on the banking quite a bit. You can hear the tires working hard as they should, but drivers can kind of use the racetrack to help them out. Justin Kolb almost hit the straightaway wall on the backstretch.
And one thing you're starting to see here in the corners is a little bit of a rubber go up a little bit in the 2nd lane there. I don't know if you can see it in 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, it's really prominent. You can see some rubber being laid up on the higher grooves there. So maybe that's helping them a little bit. You can see the rubber up there and the rubber down there. It's maybe showing a little bit of 2 lanes there, and the middle seam is probably where you don't want to be, because we see a lot of guys slipping up the track.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good look at the rubber that's forming. The 27 and 44 going to trade spots. That's an important pass for Cogswell to make to get in front of another driver on the bubble. Again, the bubble drivers lit up in gold on the ticker tonight. Others that have advanced and drivers that are not going to advance in black, as Jeffrey Fisher clears Nick Boyd out of turn number 4. That's for 5th. Up the road, Matt Gruenberg had a substantial lead, but Cameron Rich has started to run him back down.
Yeah, I think the 54 started to burn up those tires a little bit more. Maybe he was anticipating that 17 with the 74 battling a little bit longer. But guess who's on his way? That is the number 09 of James Miller. He's not too far back from these 2, and I bet his mouth is just watering seeing that 74 or that 54 and 17 start to struggle.
And there's a little bit of extra cash on the plate for tonight for James Miller with that 09 in red. Another No Bull 4 race. Tanner Sharp, Grace Clark still going at it here for 8th place now, with Cogswell down to 10th. And now the 74, Nick Boyd, who led a couple laps early in this race. Kind of a theme we've seen so far is comers and goers here, Liam. We've had the 98 lead some laps, the 74 lead some laps, the 22's been up there. It's just been kind of a revolving door at the front of the field.
Well, you see some of these drivers, maybe you're anticipating more early wrecks in this race. And, maybe the 74 thought there's going to be another quick caution there, so he's trying to steal the lead away and keep it. But it just wasn't quite enough, and here he is, in the long run, he's starting to pay the price for it.
Back up for the race lead, 3/10 separate Matt Gruenberg and Cameron. I need a glass of water at the next yellow flag. Somebody's got to spin out eventually. They've been trying for a little while. You see the Race Clark car go side by side with the 77 of Eisenman. I don't imagine he'll make this too difficult on him. But you see the brake rotors glowing in these cars. I'm surprised they're using that much brake here. But I guess they got to get the cars slowed down to get the line that they want.
Well, you see on the straightaways here, you have maybe an inch of spoiler hanging out from the back of the windshield, so you don't really have much downforce, and that's something that drivers like to see, but sometimes it can bite them, and they have to use a little bit more brake, and that's probably why the rear ends are slipping out a little bit more than we're used to seeing.
Down the back straightaway again, and starting to see the field spread out just a little bit. Curious to see if we can get some green flag fuel runs kind of in. We haven't really seen a lot of green flag stops, and having to make the trip down to pit lane. Getting onto pit road with these cars is especially difficult. Look at Tanner Sharp around the outside of the 22.
Yeah, that 3 car, he was so close last week. He just kind of, pushed a little too hard there early in the race. But that 3 car, the solid runs, they get together. The 22 is going to go around. He's going to save it, but that 3 also saves it. Great driving by both of those drivers to not wreck their cars.
Not out of the woods yet. We're still 3 wide down the back stretch, right in front of Chuck Sweeting. He slams on the brakes to miss the wreck. That was great. Heads up driving by the 26. Let's go back and have a look at how that happened. Here's a look as they come down into turn number 1 here, Liam. The 3 car, I think, just turns left here. I think that's what triggers this whole thing.
I think you see, he thinks he's clear, and he doesn't expect that 22 to get that big of a run, and he kind of comes down and try to pinch it down a little bit. And I don't think that was anything intentional there, but that was
Watch Chuck Sweeting here. Watch him. He's going to charge up this middle groove. Watch this. Oh, slams on the brakes. That was so close.
That was almost a full lock there, so great heads-up driving by Chuck Sweeting. He's one of the best drivers that we've seen in this league. He's been so close so many times. He probably should have maybe 5-6 wins in this league, and it just hasn't been close enough. No cigar. Close, but no cigar.
Oh, these guys have found each other again down into turn 1. This time, roles reversed. 22 around the outside this time, working the wheel inside the car. Watch his hands. Get that car turned in. Plenty of room being given here as they come up off the corner in turn number 2.
Oh, what looks like a lot of room with these cars is probably not much. You see the room for error on the straightaways. We saw Darlington, a lot of drivers hit the wall and spin down, and that's probably the case here. People are trying to keep a lane off the wall, car width, and what may look like a lot, maybe not much for the driver.
And this is the battle of the soda pops here on the front straightaway. Dr. Pepper versus Mountain Dew. I'm a Mountain Dew guy myself, but I appreciate a Dr. Pepper now and then. As Chuck Sweeting is indecisive behind him, but which one he thinks is better too. He's trying to pick a lane and figure out how to get by both these guys.
Yeah, maybe he's just waiting for these 2 guys to burn up their stuff, and he's going to try to, get them while they're down. So that 3 and 22, they've been burning up their tires, racing each other this hard, especially mid-run. This is, about the time where the tires may see the cliff on the tire wear. So that 22 has to get in line, whether it's in front or behind that 3 car.
170 miles an hour off into turn number 1. Chuck Sweeting just clears the 22 of Race Clark. Remember, Race Clark earlier in this race actually did lead 4 laps. He's all the way back to 14th place, so comers and goers has been the topic of discussion. Look at James Miller all over the back of the 17, and if Miller can get by, big moment out of turn number 4. If he can get by this 17 car, he can set his sights on the 54, which might be his biggest rival tonight.
One thing I'm so impressed by James Miller is his ability to keep it out of the wall. You'd think that car is a part of him with how aware of where the back end is. You see some moments like that, you think he's going to swing out and slam the wall, but he just doesn't.
I mean, he's been, someone used a word about me the other day. I can't remember what the word was. I have to go look it up. But he just has this 6th sense about where his car is, as you mentioned, and he's got just so much control over this car in a way that I just haven't seen anybody else be able to do this season, and that's why he's won so many times.
Yeah, the car's pretty much just a part of it. He just knows that where that back end's going to step out. It's just so impressive to see how he's able to lay it out, and maybe that's just where the extra speed comes from. Just the ability to know where your car is, and it's just such an impressive feat by James Miller to do on iRacing.
The word was clairvoyant, and I had to Google that when somebody called me that. As the 74-98 battle for 5th, move Nick Boyd back up to the top 5, and Drew Eisenman got a good run. Going to get the tires in the grass, have a bit of a moment, now go through for 6th.
Yeah, Jeffrey Fisher is going back pretty quickly. We saw him set the pole earlier, and he's just gone backwards. He's probably lacking a little bit of a long-run speed here, but maybe a late race restart. You may see that 98 in the mix.
Michael Goodman going after Kevin Finn in the 14. And Nick Boyd is looking really solid for the championship chase. Again, lit up in gold. Jonathan Cogswell, he has improved his position quite a bit on this run. He's gone from 14th to 8th and continues his climb forward. If he could get inside the top 7 or 6, he's going to stand a pretty good chance of getting into the chase if some drivers behind him have some trouble. Goodman and Kevin Finn, who's back this week, going at it for 9th.
Yeah, Kevin Finn, we haven't seen him in a good while, but he's been able to come back, and here he is having a nice run inside the top 10. Really solid. He's a winner here in 3 lights, so definitely nice to see him back here and tearing it up.
Working our way towards the 1/4 mark of this race. Actually going by relatively quickly now that we got the green flag laps rolling. Couple cautions early in the day. One for a spinner of the 09 of James Miller on the exit of turn 2. The other caution for Corey Lindsay in the 00 who got in the wall in the front straightaway. His day has ended. He is out of the race down in 22nd. Everybody else is still rolling. Everybody else is still within half a lap of each other too. So as we come to the 25% mark of this race here, Liam, as we got a lot of action on the back straightaway. How about the 26 under the white line, getting a pass done?
Yeah, he did. He got 2 for 1 there. He finally got the pass done. But that 22 is going to rip the really high side here as we get a replay. 26 gets such a run off the corner. He goes below the line just to make sure he clears both of them. He hears clear, and there he goes.
Fair game, too. Double yellow lines are the only ones you cannot cross in NASCAR racing. If it's paved, it's usable. I'd like to see that put to the test someday. Someone uses the apron all the way around a corner or something on a restart. But I think we got enough downforce to do that. Up in front, though, Matt Gruenberg has led the majority of the recent laps since the restart, 25, which is about half the laps we've run so far. Cameron Rich has been reeling him back in, but it has not been consistently, Liam. He's about 3/10 back.
Yeah, one thing I'm starting to see here is for this top 3 here, the higher line is starting to die away here a little bit. That 52 car, he's been running a little higher, and he just has to pin that car in the line. As you see, they come off the corner, and that, see them exit a little higher. But the top 3 here, they've been pinning it on the white line. As you see, that 54, he gets a tire on the white line, actually. A little scary to do with these cars, If you unsettle these cars, it's really hard to catch.
And Cameron Rich in his Ford Thunderbird has caught the Chevrolet of Matt Gruenberg off into turn number 1, working lap number 53. And that 17 car is getting closer and closer to the top spot. He's also dragged Gruenberg's teammate, James Miller, into the fray. And I think Matt Gruenberg might play front gunner for the 09 if things get a little bit wild. Looking back in the background, you see Jeffrey Fisher popping out. That's for 6th, going back by Drew Eisenman.
Yeah, that 98 has been, kind of back and forth with his lap times. He runs slower, he runs quicker, and, kind of balances out here. And right now he's a little bit quicker than that 77 car. But that 17 is all over the back up at the 54 for the lead. As you see, they come out of 2 here. Oh, wow, that was closer than you think it is. But that 17 is within a 10th of that 54.
And a pretty big gap between them and 4th place Justin Kolb as they continue to battle for the top spot. And you see the 17 getting the left side tires down on the white line. This reminds me a lot of how you watch the real world, watch Kevin Harvick run Atlanta, where he gets that left side tire on the white line. That's what Cameron Rich is doing in 3 and 4. Haven't really been paying attention to 1 and 2, but I think he's running about a little higher up here. He's going to arc it down in and sort of do the same deal down there. But that time by was a hair slower than the race leader.
Yeah, great line to have because it allows you to keep a little bit momentum off the corner, and it helps your car turn a little bit. But you see this wide arc he takes, gives up a little speed on entry, but he's able to cut down and get a left side tire on that white line, and it gives him a little bit more momentum on the straightaways. You watch the interval, 2/10 now, you come to the line, 1.6.
Off into turn 1, we'll ride on board. 160 miles an hour. What I love about these cars, the lack of downforce that they have, is the speed differential between the straightaways and the corners. We're going to see 35, maybe 40 mile an hour drops from the straightaway to the corner. How about 179 miles an hour into turn number 3, and then all the way down to 151 miles an hour in turn number 4. So I love how much speed we have to drop, how much speed we have to shed with brakes that aren't good, with tires that aren't good. It's super fun to watch, and this is what oval racing's all about.
Yeah, this is pretty much the pinnacle of oval racing right now. You don't always see this with the new packages, and probably don't see it as much with the Xfinity cars that most leagues run in substitute for, not being a driver's car anymore in the Cup Series. But this is the driver's car now in iRacing, and it's really fun to see these guys wheel it around here. And it's really cool to see people make these upper lines work with this motor power in these cars.
1, 2, 3, Chevrolet, Ford, Chevrolet. at the front. It's a teammate sandwich with Gruenberg and Miller having that silver 17 for lunch right now as they will go off into turn number 1, closing in lap number 60. You're watching Sim TV. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Liam Sheen here tonight. It's been a barn burner of a race, one of the best races I think we've seen all season long. And we have had 7 lead changes in the first 58 laps of this race, which has been super, super fun to watch so far. As a bit of a slip up for the race leader, here comes Cameron.
These two have been going at it, and the 54 are really loose off the corner. That opens the door for the 17, but the 09's really close to him. He's going to try to get 2 for 1 here, and he's going to get all over the back bumper of that 17. Not going to happen, and now these two are going to battle out, and James Miller all over the back bumper of them. He's going to barely clear that 54 off the corner, really close there, and here comes the 09 in the backstretch. He's going to go for the lead.
Couldn't cover the bottom. Cameron Rich has to leave the lane for the 09. He's going to back out early, maybe try to arc it down. Will the 54 fill the hole? Not quite, but look at the run Cameron Rich is building here. As he comes out, he's going to try the slingshot on the front straightaway. Does he go left? Does he go right? He's going to go to the bottom and all the way down from the top to the grass. Elevator move as Cameron Rich goes back to the race lead here in turn number 1.
Oh, wow, that was almost going to be a pass in the grass there, but that 17's going to hook that white line. The 09's going to run a lane higher, going to pinch him down. We saw that bite him earlier in the race, but that 17 is going to try to get side by side on the straightaway, but that 09's going to clear him.
That's the first time we've seen the high side really work effectively tonight. Cameron Rich going to slide up. You saw him turn in late, and that's going to let him kind of arc it down a bit deeper. But 1, 2, 3, Miller, Rich, Gruenberg, Chevrolet, Ford, Chevrolet. The teammates have swapped, but Rich is still in between. 60 laps complete here from Charlotte, and this is the best battle on the racetrack.
Yeah, and these three are pretty much in a blanket right now as it's almost 4 seconds back to the 4th place car of Justin Cole, but the 17 starting to fall off a little bit from that 09, and I'm not surprised at all. I was about to bring it up with the 54 and 17 battling out, trying to get as much track time on each other as possible. That 09 was able to save a little bit, and now he puts 2/10 on the 17.
So we're kind of thinking now about when we're going to hit pit lane. Again, if you watch the live timing and scoring available on our website, simtvbroadcasting.com/timing, you'll know that we've had a handful of drivers go 62 laps on this. I'm not sure that that's right. I think I restarted the timing and scoring since the restart, which would have been about, what, lap 25 or something like that. So we've been going long enough where we should be requiring pit stops, and I just saw Brady Smith leave pit lane, so the pit window is open. Drew Eisenman has just hit pit lane as well, so I think there's a lot of, actually, did he? It says that he did come down. Maybe that was a little while ago. No, that was a while ago. So there's still time left in this run, but I'd imagine we'll see drivers peel off here shortly as there's a battle for 5th. Eisenman's through the 98.
Yeah, and as you see that 74 is going to get that spot as well, so the 98's slowly going backwards, but that 74 also got passed by that 77, so put him in the top 5 spot. That's not what the 74 wants. He needs to get any spot he can because that only helps him later in the points. Again,
the drivers that are lit up in gold on the left-hand side of the ticker, those are the drivers that are competing for the bubble positions in the chase here. Again, we will cut off the top 12 in our point standings before we head off to the next round. So the top 12 in points, well, I'd say there was about 8 drivers within 25 points coming into the night around that 12th position. So it is a fierce battle. Nick Boyd in the 74 is the only one I feel like is safe right now. Everyone else got to battle hard.
And Jonathan Cogswell has actually been putting together some good laps, so if he can get ahead of everybody in this bubble chase thing or battle here, that would be only really beneficial for Jonathan as he's going to let the 20 by as he's on fresh tires here. So put him into the 19th spot. He's 2 laps down right now, and he's going to try to catch the number, I can't really read that number, but the number 8, I think, of Skylar Nissel.
I think he's got the 11 on the car tonight as he comes off a pit lane. There he is. He has already made a pit stop. Brady Smith should be coming here shortly. Here he comes to the outside, off into turn number 3. Nissel just getting up to speed. Oh, almost had a contact there with the 14 of Kevin Finn. And 11, big moment on cold tires here, trying to get the tires up underneath him. Brady Smith goes by, as does the 14, who I don't believe he has not come to pit lane yet. So those tires should be faster than Kevin Finn's, but they have not gotten sorted out and equalized just yet.
Yeah, and that 14, really, really wacky entry into that corner. He actually went 2 tires below the line. That's not something you want to do. You want to get that left tire or the left front under the line, but that 14 had both tires under, and that caused him to wash up there. But that 27, Jonathan Cogswell, he's been behind all of this, and he's probably not liking how these guys are driving in front of him.
You want to drive these cars in a bit of a slide. to kind of get them to rotate the way that you need them to go fast, but you can't drive them too much into slide, and you definitely can't drive them with an understeer condition. That you're just going to burn that right side tire off as Jeffrey Fisher kind of dives up underneath Nick Boyd. Boyd's going to cross him over on corner exit, try to carry the speed onto the backstretch. 4/10 separate Miller and Rich, and then 1.8 back to Gruenberg, who's completely burned off his tires. That's really uncharacteristic of Matt Gruenberg. He is normally very soft on tires. Today, he's been roasting them.
Yeah, you know, he hasn't won in a good while in this league, so once he got into that lead, he probably thought, okay, I can drive away now, but it just wasn't enough to do so. So that 54 is definitely paying the price now, and he's probably going to get passed by the 77 momentarily, you know, later in the run. So you want to try to flatten that curve with that tire fall off.
James Miller leads the way. Cameron Rich in second. Neither of them have come to hit pit lane yet. Matt Gruenberg, Drew Eisman, Justin Cole, but everybody all the way down to 10th place. Tanner Sharp has not yet come in for their pit stop here. The first green flag stops of the night have already happened for about half the field. Justin Cole and Jeffrey Fisher about to get busy with each other here in 5th. Oh, look behind them too, another battle here, the 74, and that's the 20, kind of bringing himself up a lap, but the 14 and 74 are battling for position, and that's not a position Nick Boyd can afford to give up.
Yeah,
that's not a position Nick Boyd can avoid to give up. Oh boy.
But that 74, he's been going backwards a good bit in this run, and here comes that 27. This is really big here. These two cannot afford to lose a spot to one another. They can lose a few spots on non-bubble drivers. With that 74, he cannot let this 27 get by him, or else it's going to be trouble for that 74.
Speaking of trouble, I see it brewing in front of them. Look at the 98 of Jeffrey Fisher getting swarmed by a couple drivers. The 11 and 20 are battling for position. They have already hit pit lane as we come to lap number 70. So this is a battle for position amongst a battle for position. Whoa. Side by side, really tight out of turn number 4. The 14 is through, and he is past the 98 car now.
Yeah, that was a really, really aggressive in 3 and 4 for that 98 car. Probably a little too aggressive if you're the cars around them, so that could have been disastrous as they're still battling really, really toughly together. As that 52 is all the way against the wall, it's going to bite him on exit, and that 14 is going to go right behind both of them. Yeah,
I was wondering if maybe the 52 had a flat tire. It looked like he was having big issues in turn number 2, but he's collected it. This is getting wild back here. The 20 all the way to the wall. He's got to battle the 11. The 27 and 3 are in a battle. And, the 98's going to peel off, and he's going to try to come to pit lane. Can he get slowed down? Yes, he does, as the rest of the field scrambles. If I'm the race leaders, I stay out. I'm predicting a caution here shortly.
Yeah, I would try to run it as long as you can here. But Jonathan Cogswell, he gets really tight in the middle of the corner. That 11's going to run higher. He has pressure tires, so that 27 is certainly paying the price here. And he's not going to lose too many spots here. I don't think he's going to lose any spots. Maybe to Tanner Sharp here in the 3.
Cameron Rich from second place is going to hit pit lane. He peels off, and that's an important maneuver to try to get ahead of James Miller with an undercut strategy. Justin Kolb hits pit lane. So does the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell. Chuck Sweeting stays on the racetrack. He is battling, looks like that's Tanner Sharp for 4th.
Yeah, these two have been going at it. And that 26 is going to get below the 3 car here, so nothing's really going to amount here. Actually, no, Chuck Sweeting. He's been really quick, actually, in these last few laps. He's not quicker than the leaders, but he's been running some really solid laps. He's been one of those drivers that have been running really solidly, and he's one of those bubble drivers here that needs to have a good run as well, as he's on the outside looking in.
James Miller going to hit pit lane from the race lead. Drew Eisman takes over for now. 52 of Justin Kolb leaves. See the red-hot rotors glowing in the front of these cars. The brakes not super efficient in the 1987 stock cars. And the technology has come a long way. Kevin Finn now up to second place. He was struggling on this run. And the lap time drop-off, surprisingly, is not as much as I would have thought. As Drew Eisman hits pit lane, Finn will stay out one more lap. He will get a point now for leading a lap. And let's talk about Kevin Finn here for a second. Going to the points picture, Kevin Finn has missed a bunch of races. He's all the way back in 27th. He does not care about points tonight. His only goal is to win the race.
Yeah, if you're Kevin Finn, you probably just show up to tracks that you think you can have a shot to win at, and that's 14. He's in the lead right now. He's probably not as quick as the leaders, but he's been running really solidly. When he shows up, he runs really, really well. And that 14, he may not be quicker than the leaders, but it looks like he's going to make his pit stop right now. Nice early strategy, nice entry into pit road, nice and conservative, and he's not going to be asking for too much there. But Kevin Finn, one of the contenders on a week-to-week basis, as that 26 stays out. I don't know if there's a lap lead point paid out, but that will be crucial if there is.
Yeah, looking at his laps led so far, he did get a lap led, so he should be good as he comes across the line, battling with the 20 of Brady Smith. Smith is trying to keep himself only 1 lap down, and I think he'll be able to do that with Chuck Sweeting's older tires. But Sweeting is giving him a run for his money here as we approach the halfway point here in about 24 laps. Who stood out to you? Because I think if you're looking outside of James Miller, Matt Gruenberg, or the 17 at Cameron Rich, I think you're wrong, but I'm sure you'll probably have one of those 3 drivers on your list.
Yeah, I mean, outside of those drivers, Justin Kolb, he wasn't too far off them. I mean, he was slowly falling back, but it's only 4 seconds, and I know saying only 4 seconds is probably a mile in sim racing terms, but, compared to what we see most weeks, we see 11, 12 seconds put on the field by James Miller, and he's not falling off too much, and we saw him. He pulls a really big surprise out of the bag, so, that 52 car, he's able to make things happen when they're crucial, and when he can, he's always in contention. So I think the 52 car is in contention here.
You talk about fall off, and that's one thing I wanted to discuss. We're not seeing enormous fall off by anybody, about 1.5 seconds worth, which, considering that these cars often see 3 to 3.5 to 4 seconds worth of fall off in a run, 1.5 seconds is not really that much. So that makes you wonder if either undercut or overcut strategies are really where the pace is. I'm not really convinced that that's going to work out for basically anybody. The 17 undercut James Miller, and it worked. But again, I'm not sure that I would try an overcut strategy. I just don't think that the tires are enough of an advantage when they're new that would really work out. So Miller will have to pass Cameron Rich, and Rich will cycle out to be the race leader at the end of this.
Yeah, and I don't think, I agree with you there, but, maybe, just maybe, in the longer runs. I mean, we see the 54, he paid the price for using his tires to try to get by those guys, and he wasn't able to catch them. So maybe in a longer run situation, those extra laps of fresh tires may help you out a little bit, as that 09 is going to close up on the 17. I think he'll get by him here shortly, but that 17 is not going to make it easy.
I have to wonder if maybe it's not the tire wear that makes drivers like Matt Gruenberg burn up their tires. I have to wonder if it's the tire temperature that might be contributing to that, where it's not necessarily directly wearing the contact patch, but it's just overheating them, and the speed can come back. That might be what's contributing to the comers and goers situation that we've been watching for most of the night. Alex Boyd hits pit lane. Chuck Sweeting and Tanner Sharp are the last 2 holdouts, as the 17 is trying to get by the 26, and here comes Miller battling for what will be the race lead here as they go by the 26, and that should be forward position. Not quite. I think they got to go around again.
Yeah, really close there, but that 26, he's going to be put a lap down for sure after that, so right off that 26 car for being on the leading lap. After these cycles play out, he could probably fall back to maybe 17th, probably 15th. So definitely not the strategy I think I would go with. But hey, if he gets a caution right now, he'll be the leader and he can get some fresh tires.
Well, this is the battle that will cycle. Caution is on the racetrack.
And that's a great timing for that 26 car, as the 17 and 09 are the only ones he's battling now. But that 87, Richard Hines, he's having such a solid run this race. That's a playoff car. Or not a playoff car, but he's in the picture.
Chuck Sweeting did not come to pit lane yet. Drivers behind him may elect to come with him, and that would keep Chuck Sweeting. That has really thrown a wrench into this race. We have all but 3 drivers a lap down or more. So let's go back and see what happened to the 87 of Richard Hines. I think what we're going to see here is he probably just gets up a little too high at a turn number 2. Here's a replay. Oh, just slipped and just got into the fence, Liam, and got into the wall.
Easy to do. Yeah, easy to do with these cars. That fence comes out really quickly. But one thing I'm interested about, do the 09 and the those two, if they stay out, everyone else can take the wave. But if that 26 stays out, he can secure himself a 3rd place spot in this halfway bonus points payout. So you got to wonder, does he stay out? Because those points are crucial for him. Even if he doesn't win it, or win all of them, that's still a good amount of points that can help you in this battle here, as he's going to peel onto pit road. He'll still be 3rd here on this restart, but you got to think. You got to trap some of those guys a lap down to try to set yourself up for the big picture here.
It has been a weird race so far. It has been so entertaining for sure, but this is our third caution of the night, happening at lap number 82, and this time for the 87 of Richard Hines, who has found the wall at the exit of turn 2. One other discussion that we haven't really talked a whole lot about, look at the track now. It's nighttime. We started in the daytime. Now, the temperature wasn't hot before, so I don't expect the track to change a whole lot in that regard, but the track will rubber up differently. The grip should change just a little bit, and it also, the nighttime is the right time for those on the chase bubble to make up ground where they can. Jonathan Cogswell, look where he is. He's 10th. He needs to probably get some more spots in general, but he is ahead of all but Chuck Sweeting on the chase bubble. So this could be a really good night for the 27.
Well, if I pull out my Larry Mack trends here for the past few weeks on SimTV.
You got Larry Mack trends?
Well, something that we start or usually see on SimTV with iRacing is as it comes into nighttime, passing becomes a lot more difficult to do. We saw with the Cup cars and Outsiders Racing League, passes were a lot harder to make, and then we saw Darlington. It was a lot more difficult for it to happen once we got the nighttime happen. So I wouldn't be surprised at all, as once again with this trend here, as for it to continue with passing become a lot more difficult and a lot more rare to happen. But Chuck Sweeting, he's going to be second on this restart here. He's going to be the leader.
First, yeah, as Cameron Rich and James Miller peel off for pit lane. Remember that they were the only drivers not a lap down, but they have elected to come down now, as the rest of the field will scored right now on the lead lap, except for Jonathan Cogswell on back, so some shifting has occurred here. And we'll have to kind of reconcile everything at the restart. Again, if you would like to follow along, live timing and scoring is always available on our website. The link to that is in the video description. simtvbroadcasting.com/timing is where you should be headed. As we approach the halfway point here, it's obvious the three drivers we got to keep our eye on, Rich, Miller, and Gruenberg. Those are the drivers that will cycle, but now Chuck Sweeting is in the fray, and we should not underestimate Chuck Sweeting. And the reason I say that is he is a driver that has always been in contention for wins, and this season he has 3 top 5s and 5 top 10s, which is the most of anybody outside of the top 10 in points.
Yeah, we really don't see much aggressive driving from this 26 car. Once he's in the position to win, he tried to set himself up for the long run, short-term loss, long-run gain, so long-term gain. So that 26 car, he may have to play a little bit of a counter strategy to what he normally does, because those bonus points at halfway were only maybe 15 laps out. If he could just be really aggressive and try to hold that 17 and 09 and 54 behind him, that'll be really big for him to try to get that final chase spot away from those drivers. And Nick Boyd would definitely be in a way tougher spot.
Oh, James Miller leaving pit lane, I think, has spun out. I think he just found his way into the grass. Let's have a brief look at what happened here. Hit a bump, spun the car out. Was that coming out of the pit lane? Yeah, right here.
Yeah, you see, tries to get a little bit too happy on the gas here. Easy to do with these cars, not much downforce to catch it.
I think he just caught the change in the banking angle, hit a bump there. As we come back, this time the caution has been extended as we're sort of cycling out where everybody should be. A little bit of confusion here. So the caution has been extended a lap. Lights are back on the pace truck as Cameron Rich sits second, but I think we've had an issue because the 09 is back in 7th now. I don't know how we got mixed in here.
Well, with him spinning out, that causes a extension of the yellow, because iRacing is like, hey, hang on there. I don't want to restart the race in turn 2 with the car spun out on the track, but I'm kind of surprised he's getting all of his spots back.
Yeah, usually you get a certain amount of time before it'll rip you out of your spot, but he will cycle back up into 3rd place. I'm sure there's a little bit of confusion at where line. Anytime you have a caution in the middle of a run, a pit stop sequence like that, it sort of messes things up timing-wise. See a lot of drivers single file. It all took the wave around here, but going to take us a minute to get this all sorted. To see a car on the apron slowing, that seems to be Matt Gruenberg dropping to the tail of the field. I wonder if there's a penalty, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he, maybe a pit road penalty, maybe a unsafe entry. Easy to do here. Perhaps unsafe exit, but he's going to go to the back. Whatever it was, not beneficial for him at all. So he's going to go to the back of the field, and he has his work cut out for him to try to make his way back up.
And the problem is the back of the field here for this restart. If you look down from high above, he's in a single file line behind all the people that took the wave around. So this is going to hurt a lot more. There's 2 rows of double file cars. Sweeting, Rich, Miller, and Eisman is technically 4th, but he's buried in traffic. The car on the outside is Donovan Smith. He's 2 laps down. So it's going to be a really weird restart with cars mixed in left and right. About 13 laps to halfway here at Charlotte for the season finale, the regular season finale of the 3 Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. Lap 88, green flag back in the air. Chuck Sweeting leads him there.
And a great restart for him, so he's going to try to pull away right off the bat from that 09 and 17 as they are going to battle out for second place here. That's great. 26.
And these restarts are aggressive. Miller back to second. Rich on the high side at the exit of turn 2. Going to try to carry the momentum. Caution back out. Jeffrey Fisher. And there's a stack up. The 12 car spins and backs it into the wall. The 10 car is now involved. And Alex Boyd is in it again.
Yeah, and a few cars getting in that. I don't think we got them all on the screen. The 12 was in it. The 10 was in it. But good heads up driving by Matt Gruenberg in the back. He slowed down and probably saw it coming, but as we see the wreck sort of unfold ahead of these guys, that 10 car goes into the corner and contact ahead, and
he was late. He was late. Ooh, wow, that's a big hit there. So who was I think the 98 was the one that kind of was the
98 car.
It's right there. The 12 and the 52 get together. That's what causes it. The 12 slams into the 98. That will end his night likely.
Almost up and over there. Nowhere for Jeffrey Fisher to go, and the 10 car, insult to injury there. And I want to say ARCA brakes by the 10 because there's not much brakes to use.
They don't have a lot of brakes, yeah.
Not great. This is beneficial for the 26 car. I was actually starting to say that the 09 car, he was actually getting a good run off the corner compared to that 26, but the more laps we run into caution, the less laps he has to hold off that 09 for.
We'll take a break. We'll be back for the restart here in just a few minutes. Hang tight. You're watching Sim TV.
If there's one place that defines American motorsport, it's here. The sandy beaches a few miles away held races for decades. It's where NASCAR was born. They need a place to race, a superspeedway so fast and so huge that the cars could run flat out all the way around. So they built it. 1 million square yards of earth was moved to create the banking. The void left behind became Lake Lloyd. And 2.5 miles of asphalt created more than just one of the most beautiful racetracks in the world. It built the foundation of NASCAR. In the decades that followed, Daytona became hallowed ground. The trophies here mean more than any other. Win the 500, put your name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Win the 24 hours and strap a Rolex on your wrist. The banks are not always kind. They're not always fair. And while Daytona wins bring a statistical highlight to any career, it's the losses that make it seem pointless. But for every untimely ending, there is a triumphant healing. For every emotional victory, a mind-numbing realization.
Tom O'Gorman fighting for every inch that he can possibly get. Won the last T-Scar race of last year, Road Atlantic, starting things off in exactly the right style. It is victory for Tom O'Gorman and the LA Automobile team.
I won at Daytona. I earned a trophy at the World Center of Racing. The checkered flag waved for me. For me, it was not the end of a career. While it may be a highlight, it is only the beginning. It's just the best ever.
The 3 Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series is about to come to a restart here, 93 laps into a 200-lap race to end the regular season before we select our top 12 drivers and send them off to the chase, where we will eliminate 6 halfway through and send the final 6 to the the end of the season to battle for the championship. You're watching Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Liam Sheen here tonight. Just about halfway, Chuck Sweeting leads the field after we had a caution that kind of split things up a little bit, made some confusion happen in the timing, and kind of borked the restart and had a couple cars loop it around. But we've since gotten everybody re-racked and restacked and ready to go racing again, minus a couple of drivers we had earlier. So welcome back to the 3-Wide Racing League. And Liam, it's been a fun one so far, but coming to the restart halfway through, if we go green to the end, it's about 58 minutes worth of racing. And do you think it'll take 58 minutes, or do you expect a few more yellows here?
I think it will take about the 58 minutes. I don't think that we'll have too long of a race left on our hands here, so I think everyone will keep it clean. And we saw a really exciting restart. Everyone's really aggressive here, but once we get a few laps into the run and get to that pit stop, I think it'll be set and sail for the rest of the race.
Working lap number 93, the pace truck going to make the hard left-hand move onto pit lane. The majority of the field's got fresh tires and fuel. Green flag back in the air. The remaining 20 drivers get back underway from Charlotte. Off into turn number 1, the 09 almost clear of the 17. They have had a fierce battle all day long. Tanner Sharp is now in it. So is Gruenberg. He's back to play. But the 17 of Rich is second as they come out of turn number 2.
Significantly better restart for that 26 car. He's going to break away a good bit, and now he only has to hold him off for 7 more laps, and he's just going to try to count them down. But that 17 is really good in the center of the corner. That 26 can't get it quite down there. It's going to allow him to get all over the back over the 26. He cannot let him by, though.
Miller had a big moment in turn 4. The car kind of shimmied and shammied all over the racetrack. The 17's in the wall into turn number 1. Pretty sizable hit, and James Miller will take advantage to the bottom of the racetrack for second.
They're going to be side by side for the second spot. The 09's going to get a good run off the corner.
Oh, spinner!
All around.
Mike Stevens in the 63 has looped it. We will stay green. Smoke cloud on the back straightaway clearing. We will get back rolling, and we will stay green for now. For the race lead, here comes Miller on the bottom out of turn 4. Big slide for the 17.
And that 09's going to try to get the nice bite. You see a little bit of damage on that 26 car. It's probably hurting him a little bit, and that's not a good spot to have it. The left front is not a good spot to have damage, but that 09 is going to actually lose 2 spots here, as that 09 and 17 are going to try to break down underneath him. But that 09 is going to, or that 26 is going to get a nice run off the corner. Not going to be enough to make anything happen with it, though.
Through the corner again. Look at the 54. Move in front of the 3, and the Tanner Sharp car goes back to the bumper as they come out of turn 4 now. Nose to tail, Miller and Rich. They've been battling all race long. 5 laps to halfway.
And the 26 car is going to lose some points there, so those are valuable. He can't lose too many of them. He has to stay in third to keep a little bit of a gap. But Brent Miller, he's also moved into the nice picture here in 8th place in this stage. Not stage points, but I don't know if halfway points are paid out to the top 10 or not, but I think it's top 5, maybe top 10, but those are also valuable for him, as Nick Boyd also moves into the 10th spot.
Come across the line, this 09 chops the nose of Cameron Rich off on the run down to turn number 1, so Rich thinking maybe you don't want to do that again as they come out of turn 2 now. Next time by 3 laps to halfway, Rich and Miller first and second, and Matt Gruenberg and Chuck Sweeting battling for 3rd and 4th behind them.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be too much of a challenge from that 17 car. That 09's just so strong right now. If I'm the 17, I learned from last time. You can't use up your tires too quickly. You got to be able to just chilling behind him and make the pass happen when it's necessary. But that 17's all over the back bumper of him. I'm surprised there hasn't been contact between these two with how aggressive they've been.
And the 3 drivers have been back out front. The frustrating thing for Cameron Rich is it doesn't matter which one of those teammates is out front. He's always got one in front and one behind, whether it's Miller or Gruenberg on the point of the train here. So back and forth they've been trading, but Rich wants to be on the tip of it for once. They come out of turn 4, side by side, got the nose underneath there, gonna go for the lead, gonna get slammed shut as they head down to 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see maybe a little bit of help from that 17 car. That's pretty aggressive blocking by that 09, but that 09 entered low. That's going to allow the 17 to have a nice run off the corner. It's going to try to go for it again. coming to the start-finish line, that's going to be the spot where he has to make it happen.
Yeah, I don't think you can really make passes into 3 the way that you can into 1. Look at the run Rich built up there in the middle of the corner. The 09's going to drift wide, and here comes Rich now with a run. The 09 slips wider, and I don't know if he's got overlap. Now he does, and Cameron Rich will have the inside line, and now Miller will have to give it to him as we hit lap number 100.
Yeah, I don't know if points are paid out now or if it's at the end of this lap, but this is going to be the money lap for him. That 09's going to run higher, really close to the wall there. That 17's going to get a nice momentum built on this backstretch. He's all over the back bumper. He's going to take a little wider arc, but that 09's actually going to take a defensively wider arc, and he's going to try to keep the 17 behind him. But you see, the 17s are so good off corner exit here that the 09's going to get these points here, these bonus points.
Miller, Rich, Gruenberg, Sweeting, Sharp, the top 5 as we come on through across the line, halfway through this race as we continue our battle.
That was a really hairy moment with that lap car there. That was close, but that 09 barely missed him. So great heads-up driving by James Miller, but that 17's all over the back bumper. Has a big challenge for that 54. He's all over the back bumper, and Chuck Sweeting hasn't backed off from these guys. He's actually hanging with Matt Gruenberg. He's playing the long-haul game here.
Crowds cheering across the line now. 52 minutes of racing to go. You're watching 3 Wide Racing League here on Sim TV, one of the longest running leagues that we've been working with. The first league we worked with was the Sim Championship Racing Series, also known as SCARS, and their Ferrari Challenge Series. I think they're in their 5th or 6th season with us. 3 Wide has been with us all 3 years that we've been around, and they are unfortunately going to be ceasing operations for the time being heading into 2021, but the racing has never slowed down. Matt Gruenberg and Cameron Rich side by side for second now as Chuck Sweeting watches from behind.
Yeah, Chuck Sweeting, he's saving his tires a little bit. You see, he's taking a more conservative line. You know, he's not backing off as much as I would think to save tires, but he's not really pushing it right now, and I like that. If you're a 4th place car and you're battling for the bubble spot, it's not wise to go for spots that you don't need to get. It's better off to not lose any more spots, though.
I highly agree with that. I'm not sure being overly aggressive is the way to run this race. I will tell you, though, that the quickest car the last couple of times around had been Tanner Sharp, but now that the front 4 had stopped battling, that gets tipped back in the favor of the 2nd place car, Matt Gruenberg, who's going to try to run down his teammate. And those teammates, we have seen them in the past. They are not afraid to fight, and that's what Cameron Rich would like them to do now. As they head down the back straightaway into turn 3. And Chuck Sweeting, as you mentioned, he has never left in his pink or his magenta and black Chevrolet. He is still there and ready to pounce.
Yeah, he's been running really solid lap times. And something I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend with James Miller. He's starting to run a little bit wider, and he's not able to plant it as far on the line as, Matt Gruenberg and Cameron Rich have been able to do. As you see it illustrated there, the 09, he enters or exits a little higher, and that's really good for the 17 and 54. They're able to charge a little bit more of a run. They can enter higher, cut down low, and that 09 can't quite do that. And that 54 can get a good run on the straighter and set up for the pass. As you see right here, all over the back bumper here, we're going to see a little bit of a momentum built up as the 09 is going to slam the door, but that 54 is going to get to the inside.
Yeah, teammates battling for the top spot. Gruenberg up the inside of the 09. For the race lead, door-to-door, wheel-to-wheel. Miller's going to roll the outside lane. Look at the winner stickers above the rear quarter window on that 09. 6 wins. I joked with him last week that he was running out of places to put him, but you see the above the rear window on the 54. Plenty of space left for winner stickers there as they battle Chevrolet to Chevrolet at the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, and I think that 54 is just better than an 09 car, so you can't really let him by because there's 2 hungry drivers right behind him, that 26 and 17. They want to have that lead, but that 26 is going to get to the inside. They're side by side, 2 rows deep up here. You think it's a plate race of how aggressive they're racing, but these two have been going to be the furthest thing from it. So these two have been battling really hard up front for the lead, and a really big battle for third as the 26 is finally going to clear him. That 17 is going to try to drive it in deeper. Not going to happen. They're still side by side for the lead.
Yeah, Miller and Gruenberg are still going at it. They've been like this for about a lap and a half now, and they will fight each other to the end. There's no reason why they shouldn't. They're plenty safe for the chase. There's no reason why they shouldn't be fighting right now. Go for it, have some fun, and that's what they're doing right now. But watch out for that 26 car because he is hungry for a win, and it would put him in a great position to move on into the playoffs, into the chase system here over the next couple weeks. Remember, there's cash prizes on the line this year, as there always is. So there is extra incentive to run well. Miller hangs on for now, but Sweeting's got a big run, and I don't think he's going to sit on it. Goes to the right on the front straight.
Yeah, he's been really quick, and I like this. Those laps of tire saving, they're starting to pay off. These guys are starting to struggle up here with how aggressive they were being, and that 26 is has the ability to pounce on these two, but he's not able to make that top side work.
If you're watching for the first time or you're not a subscriber of SimTV, you should be. We've got racing like this 4 to 5 days a week, depending on what you're watching. We've got GT4, TCR if you're into road. We've got formula racing, stock car racing, a little bit of everything. Sports car racing on Thursdays. All the action on SimTV. Make sure to subscribe and join us all nights of the week. As James Miller comes on through, he has just led his 29th lap of the race so far as Gruenberg, Sweeting, Rich, and Sharp fill out the rest of the top 5. And even for 5th, it's getting a bit racy. Kevin Finn on his return back has climbed his way up into 6th and is now battling for a top 5 spot.
And Kevin Finn, we talked about it earlier, he's been one of those drivers that's been really quick, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. He may be able to get by this 3 car, and he might be able to run them down. He's not running too far off the leaders from what I've seen, so at 14, he's not really far off. With that 54.09 and 26, they've been starting to, settle down a little bit, and at 17, he's starting to get further and further away.
90 laps to go now here from Charlotte, about 48 minutes worth of racing. And the top 4 separated now by just under a half a second. How about 5th place changing hands? Kevin Finn by Tanner Sharp. And Finn last time by was a little bit quicker than 4th place Cameron Rich, so he could certainly go up there enjoying that party. And I think we're about to see some people throw their hands in the air here at the end of this race, whether it's in disgust or in celebration, one of the two. But looking down the rest of the order, if you look at Miller, Boyd, and Goodman, they're all fighting for a bubble spot, Liam, and they're all around each other. I have no idea what the point situation will be at the end of this race, and we'll have to wait for confirmation to see who moves on into the chase.
Yeah, and those drivers, they haven't been able to get away from each other. They have maybe a second in between, second and change, so those guys have been certainly battling really hard against each other all race. They can't quite get away from each other as we catch the number 10 car, Nick Boyd. He's just ahead of the leader, so Matt Gruenberg is able to will be able to use him as a pick, but that trend that I said earlier, it's starting to become true. You're not able to see as much passing done later in this, later as the day goes on, as 54 isn't able to get quite by that 09. He's able to charge or run, but he just can't really do anything with it.
Top 3 now separated by 0.3 of a second. Cameron Rich is starting to fall off. Maybe the tire's gone in that car. Maybe there's some strategy brewing. That got really dicey out of turn 4. The 10 car, that is the lap down. Alex Boyd stays out of the way. He is the first car 1 lap down. Could get a free pass here if we get a yellow. Now my mind starts to shift towards the end of the race here. Looking at the stints we've done 29 laps on this tank of fuel. If you can go another 15 or 20 laps, Liam, that would put you about 70 to 65 laps to go. That's pushing it, I think, if you pit then. If you could stretch it to lap 145-ish, I think you're way better off making it to the end on fuel from there. We'll have to see when the pit stops begin to happen.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done with cautions for now. Everybody seemed to strung himself out a little bit, and we can't really see too much aggressive driving. A lot more drivers still running in the field, so that's always nice to see, but it's really, I think the cautions are pretty much done and, put away for now as the 10 of Alex Boyd pulls low. But, I think that if you could just try to stretch it a little bit, if you're Chuck Sweeting, you see these two battle, you may want to back off a little bit and save a little bit more because, in the big picture of things, that may be really, really beneficial for you.
Cross the line now, working lap 116 of 200. It has been a long night so far. We went live at about 9:40. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes since that has happened. 45 to go. If this race were to go, or 45 minutes to go, I should say, if this race goes green to the end. Miller, Gruenberg, Sweeting, Rich, Kevin Finn, your top 5. No other significant battles deep in the field. Alex Boyd remains 1 lap down, but the battle for the lead is heating up. The 2 teammates at the front. Gruenberg has found another gear again.
Yeah, Gruenberg has been able to get all of it back bump at that 09, but he just can't charge or run on that 09. That has to be really frustrating. Not something you see much with these cars, not being able to pass, but you see that 54 is able to get really low. I think the 09 is starting to pick up on that a little bit. He can't get quite as low as the 54 can, but he can get close.
Well, let's think. You mentioned earlier about the track changing to where it'd be harder to pass, and I agree. I think we've seen the passing in the last 10 to 15 laps really take a hit. I'm not sure it's because of the restart, because of the tire situation or what, but going back to the rubber that we talked about earlier, you know what's interesting? Every time we come here, the rubber sort of ends up in the middle groove. Even if a lot of drivers were using the bottom, you can see that middle groove, and as the drivers come through, that's where most of the drivers seem to be, is this middle section of the racetrack here. Even though we've seen a lot of drivers on the bottom, there's actually another little rubber piece on the bottom that drivers have been using. But if you're anywhere other than those two places, you're going to be going slower right now.
Yeah, you have to be able to run the very, very bottom of the racetrack to try to get something going. As you see, James Miller, he's not able to get that as well as the 54 can. So James Miller, he's washing up a little bit. It has to be frustrating for him as he's able to not be able to stay in that those rubbered up lines. So that has to be really frustrating for him as he's starting to get a little loose. You see that back end step out just a touch, not quite there, but out of 4, he starts to lose the car a little bit.
Well, I hate to be bearer of the bad news for the two teammates out front, but the quickest driver on the racetrack last time by was not James Miller. It was not Matt Gruenberg. It was not Chuck Sweeting. It was Cameron Rich, and he has cooled his tires off, and he's coming back forward for the lead. The teammates almost spin each other out as they come across the line, working lap 120. Gruenberg now wants the inside. He had it for a moment, but Miller hangs on.
Yeah, one thing I'm starting to notice here is if you want to get a pass made, you have to sort of be in the higher line, and that's something that is quite weird to say in 2020 iRacing, but that 09, he's able to defend really well in that 54, and that 54 gets a little too tight to be able to make something happen. So James Miller gets a huge challenge from Matt Gruenberg as they're really close to each other. That's surprising to see, but the 09 runs a little bit of a higher line. He's able to pull away just a little bit, not much though.
80 laps to go from Charlotte down into turn number 1. Remember, the drivers on the left, the gold numbers are your chase bubble competitors. Chuck Sweeting is in great shape to move on to the chase. Remember, he came in, I think, on the outside looking in. Yeah, he was back in 14th, 1 point back from Skylar Nissel, and 6 points back from Michael Goodman. So there is a lot on the line right now for Chuck Sweeting. If everything were to finish as is, Chuck Sweeting would move on to the chase, and the others around him we'd have to fight for that other spot. So there's a lot on the line for Sweeting to have a good night tonight, and he is doing it right now.
And Chuck Sweeting, he's really making it happen. And you see everybody else that he was racing around. Nick Boyd, he started second. He's back in 10th. You see Brent Miller. He's in 9th now. He's you talk about comers and goers, and he's more of a guy that's been able to make his way forward. So that 89, I don't think it'll be enough for him to squeeze his way into the chase, but definitely would help.
Off into turn 1, bit of a battle going on. Tanner Sharp and Kevin Finn, these guys have been going at it. It's kind of funny. We've seen the same two cars fighting each other all night long, whether it's James Miller and Cameron Rich, or Kevin Finn and Tanner Sharp, or the 52 and the 54 had some good battles earlier in the day. Just seems like the same two drivers always find each other on the racetrack to have a scrap. Move Finn back inside the top 5. This is a spectacular run for him, but I don't think anything but a win is really what he's shooting for tonight. There's no reason to run 5th. It's either win or junk the car trying as the 3 car crosses him up.
Yeah, and that 3 car, he gets a good run, and these guys know how to put on a show, so I'm not surprised at all that these guys are the drivers that have been putting together a good battle here, as the 14 is going to get a good bit of momentum off the corner. Not too much damage on that machine compared to the 3, maybe a little bit of a ding on the left front, but not much, as the 3 car is going to get a nice good bite into the entry, but that 14 is able to gas it up here, as you're going to see. He's able to get on the throttle, and he's able to get alongside and try to get a little bit more momentum than the 3 is, but that 3 car is actually a little bit better than I thought he was.
Change for 3rd place. Cameron Rich has gotten by Chuck Sweeting. That's dangerous for the drivers in front of Cameron Rich. The two teammates still nose to tail and unchanged. They've been like this for several laps now, but the 17 is hunting them down, and a little easy to spot with the silver front end. That car reflecting and glinting off of the evening lights spread around this racetrack as we hit 75 laps to go. And we are closing in on the final 25% of this race in about 25 laps time here, Liam. So now this is when my mindset starts to change to how do we get to the end of this race? How do we plan for our final pit stop? And what's my strategy going to be to win this race if I'm not out front?
Well, if you're not up front, you may want to try to undercut a little bit. We saw it work for Cameron Rich momentarily on James Miller. And the 26, he was able to stay out and try to put him a lap down. Wasn't able to quite hold on to that, so he'd be on a little bit more fresh tires, so wasn't quite able to hang on, but I think if you're Chuck Sweeting, if you're Cameron Rich, you may want to go in a lap or two earlier because these two, you see them, struggle a little bit on the longer runs, but they're able to reel them back in a little bit. So if you're Chuck Sweeting, Cameron Rich, you may want to, undercut them a little bit. And, they've been quicker cars in the long run. I mean, these two have been using each other as insurance to make sure the 17 and 26 can't get by, but I think undercut is the way to go.
Look who's at it again. Sorry to cut you off. The 14 and 3 are at it again here in turn number 4. These guys have been going at it, like we mentioned, hard, but now they've got Race Clark, a third driver to throw into the fray, all going for 5th place here on the front stretch.
Yeah, we saw Race Clark up in the upper part of this top 10 earlier in the race. He's going to try to split it 3 wide. Doesn't have quite the room to do that, but we've seen Race Clark in the upper half of the top 10 a little bit. He's going to try to make his way back forward, try to get the top 5 spot.
Got a run alongside the 3 of Tanner Sharp, now going for the 14 as they're dead even off into 3. Move Race Clark up that spot. Sets its sights on the tailpipes of the 14 as look at Tanner Sharp reel that 22 in, going fishing, and wow, here's Drew Eisenman back into the mix now. This was an important night for Drew Eisenman, I think, to prove that he was capable of running with Miller and Gruenberg. It hasn't been the best showing for him tonight, but let's just wait and see how far he can climb before the end of the race. I'm not convinced we've seen everything up his sleeve just yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's used his full potential in this race, but I don't think he's he's really seeing this as a really important race for him. We're seeing this as a more of a just get myself to the chase and everything, and get myself in, and then start focusing on trying to get some more speed and more ability out of your car. So if you're Drew Eisenman, you're probably just riding this race, seeing this as a write-off race. You know how quick the 09 and the 54 are, so if you're Drew Eisenman, he's going to go to the inside of the 3 car, try to get the spot away here. But if you're Drew Eisenman, I don't think you're really aggressive with your racing here. Just ride this one out.
So Eisenman going for 7th place now on the 3 of Tanner Sharp, who's dropped a couple spots back up to the front. Still about a 10th separating the 2 race leaders. Teammates right now, 70 to go. And we'll jump back to that fight for 7th as it's far from over as the 3 car, big moment off into turn 1. He hung that car out sideways. Have a look at this as he went off into turn number 1 here. Watch this car step out here, Liam, as they go off into turn 1. Watch the hands inside this car. You're going to watch him come back to the right. Big moment there. Steers the car up the hill and continues rolling, the engine backfiring, and had a big moment. Continues, lost the spot to the 77. And we go back all the way to the front of the field. Battles left. I don't think we've been able to leave these leaders alone for more than about 10 laps at a time.
You see the 09, he's a little bit better for 5 laps, and then the 54 is better, but he just can't close the gap enough. Can't get as much of an advantage as the 54 is able to close in on the 09, but he's just not able to get enough of an advantage to make something happen out of it. So if you're the 54 Matt Gruenberg, that has to be frustrating. You're quicker, you just can't really string together enough laps. As that was a big opportunity there. Lieutenant Nick Boyd, runs right in the, not Nick Boyd, Alex Boyd. He runs right in the way of the 09 car, and that's opportunity time for that 54. This is a place where he can make a spot or a pass happen.
Yeah, Team AV car's off into 3. And again, that was really dicey again. That 10 car trying to stay out of the way the best he can. Doing his best. As out of 4, big moment for the 09. That's going to give Gruenberg a great run. I think you got to make the pass into turn 1. We have not seen turn 3 been a great place to make moves. Turn 1 is the better spot on the racetrack. But Gruenberg, I don't think is a whole lot better there. He's way better in 1 and 2, but they get stuck because he can't do anything with it in 3.
Yeah, if I'm the 54, I'm going to try to run a wider arc, try to get something set up for 1 and 2. We see him run a little bit of a wide arc, but that's not as wide as you can run it. You want to try to cut it down in 3 and 4, middle of 3 and 4. That's the point where you want to hit the apex.
Oh, here he goes!
Oh, here he comes.
Oh, he laid the bumper to him, was not able to get up underneath him there, Liam, but is that a message sent maybe?
It's probably a message sent like, hey, man, I'm getting quicker than you. I mean, come on, man, let me have a spot. I let you have it a few times this season. How about you pay it back a little bit? But that 54 car, he has to run a little bit of a wider arc, and it's just not able to amount to anything. As you see, he's a little bit quicker, or Cameron Rich is a little bit quicker than the 54 cars, so he's been running in a little bit, bit by bit, but not able to make enough happen.
Yeah, watching the pace as they come on through this time. That time Rich lost a little bit to the 54, but my point of bringing this up was showing how wishy-washy the speeds have been between these two drivers. Rich will gain a 10th one lap and lose a 10th another lap. He's not been consistently reeling in those leaders, and that's something that he'll need to do. I think you need to be within a half a second. He's 8/10 back right now. If you're within a half a second, you pull the undercut. I think Cameron Rich might be the favorite to win this race. But remember, we need to pull the undercut earlier in the race on lap number 85 or 90. He held on to the lead for a little bit, Liam, but it was not for very long. So maybe the overcut is a strategy to play this time, knowing that if you pull the overcut, or the undercut rather, you will get past at some point.
You'll get past, but we saw at Darlington, we saw a few drivers, try to do the overcut, and they just lost a lot of time. Or not Darlington, we saw in Fuel in Atlanta, we saw a few drivers try to do the overcut. It just was too much time to reel back in. So I mean, you want to hit the sweet spot there as you see the 09 hanging off the corner. You saw those hands. You work that car, and that 54 not quite enough close to make something happen, but they're really close to each other. Less than a 10th of a difference between these two cars.
I'm worried now. We're getting some heavier lap traffic. The 20 of Brady Smith. The 09 is going to go to the outside. Well, you mentioned the overcut, and I sort of agree with you in that sense, is that we saw at Darlington that the overcut didn't work. And I think it was because the gap was too big, and it was hard to pass at Darlington, and the overcut sort of necessitates that it's easy to pass. And tonight, it's been easier than last week. It has gotten more difficult since the start of the race, but I do believe that it's been easier to pass than last week at Darlington. For third, Chuck Sweeting about to show us that with Cameron Rich, but the two leaders have not separated by more than a car length in about 25 laps.
Yeah, they've been so aggressive with each other. They're probably working together a little bit. If the 17, reels them in a little bit, they probably back off and try to work it together. But once they get, second and a half, maybe probably half a second to second and a half, they're able to drive away a little bit and, play a little bit of a battle going on between these two. But once the 17 pulls in, you see them kind of calm down a little bit. In the 26, if they get close enough, they, settle down a little bit.
Ooh, for third place, cross the line,
side by
Sweeting and Cameron Rich. That got really dicey. 60 laps to go next time by, and I would think now that we're pretty much in the zone for making it to the end on fuel. Look at this, 56 laps since the last pit stop for Sweeting, 55 for James Miller as they negotiate some more traffic. So this tells me that you can pit in about 2 laps and make it to the end on fuel safely. And I think we'll see some drivers peel off and do that here in just a moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a few drivers peel in now to,
well, guess who just did? Cameron Rich.
Yeah, and he pulls in, and he's going to probably try to save maybe half a lap, maybe a full lap. But this is big because he's one of the drivers that is really quick in the long run. So if he can try to separate the 09 and 54, that'd be big for him.
I think his only goal is to beat these drivers out of the pits and just try to play defense. And that might be the strategy to do. The one that Donovan Smith pulls off the racetrack. Miller and Gruenberg stay out another lap, so it'll be at least 2 laps that the 17 will have advantage over these drivers, which will give him about a 4-second lead when he comes out of the pits, assuming that this stop goes smoothly. So there's a little bit of damage on the right rear quarter panel of that car. That was from the wall contact we saw earlier in the day. He is sitting on pit lane. Did he speed into pit lane?
Oh, that might be a penalty. Yeah, that's a good while for it to be just fuel. Oh, man.
That is brutal for Cameron Rich.
Yeah, so close so many times, and he just isn't able to close the deal. He's been so quick. It just isn't. This has been a big opportunity for him to snag a win. It's just, man, got away from him.
He has been so good in this series in the past in 3-wide. He's a longtime 3-wide competitor, kind of tailed off his participation in recent seasons, but he has not won a race this season. He runs a part-time schedule, and unfortunately, that will be where his competition ends today with a pit road penalty on pit lane. Is he even in the car? I don't even think he's in the car anymore. So he might have climbed out. As for the race lead, Chuck Sweeting will take over as Miller and Gruenberg hit pit lane together. I would assume that this is planned out here, and now they're going to race it to the end with 55 laps to go.
Well, that's a little sketchy to do, but the 54 is behind the 09 in this pit stall, and the 54 really aggressive with this pit stall entry. Wow, he locked up the front tires there. And the new leader is the 26 of Chuck Sweeting.
Caution! Caution on the racetrack! Oh, that's huge. And it's Donovan Smith in the 1 car on the front straightaway, and Chuck Sweeting, I think he's in trouble because he did not get around in time to lap the 54 and the 09. They will get to finish up their pit stops. That was not lucky for Chuck Sweeting. Had it happened 3 laps later, totally lucky.
Oh man, you gotta hate that. But let's see how this happened. Oh, he just smacks the wall, but he goes into the corner and enters a little high, and he couldn't quite cut it down, and stays in the throttle, thinking the wall's further away, and man, comes out and bites you.
Oh man,
Wow.
big hit there on the front straightaway. And we got obliterated by the 87 of Richard Hines. I didn't see that originally. Wow, Skylar Nissel went sailing through the grass. We got to ride on board with Nissel. I think that's what needs to happen here. Remember that Nissel is on the bubble, so he needs to have a decent finish tonight. And he just chucks the car into the grass. Oh man. Woo.
That's really tough to catch there. This is the old Scana Strongland. Oh wow, he does a great job preventing hitting the 74 there of Nick Boyd. But that 11 car, this isn't the asphalt or the painted asphalt or tar or whatever it's called.
Turf is what the
turf,
word you're looking
yeah, that's
for.
what I was looking for. But it's really hard to do. He could have easily slammed the inside wall, and that could have been night over. But great heads up driving. One thing I want to have a look on board with is the 87. That I don't want to say it's an ARCA break, but that was a little late.
I think I might have skipped ahead accidentally here. So, oh no, there it is. I was right.
Rick happens ahead. And
yeah, that was a little bit late, I would say, reaction time wise.
You see, he comes off the corner.
I think he might have been afraid of to his credit, the 3 car was barking up the rear tailpipes. I'm not sure he wanted to slow down because of that. And Tanner Sharp did kind of help him into it. So I don't want to put it completely on Richard Hines, but I still think both those cars should have slowed down a little bit more for that. So caution out. With just over 50 laps to go, we've had our 2 leaders hit pit road. What happens now?
I don't know. I mean, one thing that is cycled out from all this, the 74. Oh wow, that is a definite unsafe pit entrance there by the 10 of Nick Boyd, so that's probably going to be a penalty, drop to end. But I thought the 74 took his pit road service and he cycled out as a leader, but that's not the case. The leader right now is Race Clark. I'm not sure what the strategy is here. I think you just kind of go for it.
Well, I think we're going to see and we'll find out. We'll come back for the restart here in just a moment. Stay with us. We're just going to take a quick break. Rest our voices. We'll be back for the final 50 laps of racing from Charlotte, the 3-Wide Racing League regular season finale. Stick with us. Approaching a restart here in the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series, the final race of the regular season. We are going to restart with 52 laps to go. Drivers in gold are on the bubble in the points. Top 12 move on to the chase. Chuck Sweeting is still in second. He is in position. What I thought would help the 2 Team AV cars actually hurt them. They were restart 9th and 10th. They've got work to do. Green flag back in the air. 52 to go from Charlotte.
Clark right off the bat. In that 09 and 54, they have their work cut out for him, and that might be big news for that 26 and 52. They're going to be able to try to break away a little bit, but everybody else is going to tuck in behind, and that 22 car is going to try to drive away a little bit early.
Side by side for third, Kevin Finn and the 77 of Drew Eisenman. This is a good time for him to jump up forward with the two drivers that have dominated this race, the 54 and the 09. They're buried all the way back in 9th and 10th as they come out of 4. So this time 51 to go. And I think for Race Clark and Chuck Sweeting, go, run as fast as you can, because you got to know that with no pit stops required from here to the end of this race, the 09 and 54 will charge to the front. Big moment for the 14. He slides up the racetrack.
Oh, 26 in the wall. But one thing I noticed, look at this gap back. There's 2 packs, and that's 3.3 seconds, and they're losing. So, I mean, if you're the 22, this is a big moment, big opportunity, and you're hoping everybody goes clean and green to the end, because 3 seconds may be really tough to gain, especially on the long run, especially when you're the leader. No dirty air, no cars to pass.
Whoa, car on the wall in the end. That would be for 4th.
And these drivers have been side by side here. And that 52 is going to settle in right in front of him, and that 74 is going to try to take advantage of him. And that 74 is going to, close to getting 3 wide there, but he's going to settle in behind. He's going to try to turn this, you saw him back in 9th. He's going to try to turn it into a top 4 day.
Side by side through 1 and 2. The 52 of Kolb slips up a little bit. We saw him all over the place. Gets squeezed up into the outside wall. The 14 does as they scatter down the backstretch. The 52 leaving some space. Move Nick Boyd up through. Now think about Nick Boyd too. He is another driver that came in on the bubble. He was plus on the bubble, so he is okay if he finishes well tonight, and this is certainly going to do him well, being inside the top 5. I wouldn't like to see him any farther back than 8th, 9th, or 10th, because that opens the door for him to lose points to those behind him. Chuck Sweeting, remember, was on the outside looking in, so he's going to bump somebody tonight if he finishes up inside the top 3, and Nick Boyd better hope it's not him.
Yeah, Nick Boyd, he has to be really, really careful not to lose any more spots to that 14 or the 54 and 09. I mean, you see those gaps. I mean, they haven't really been cutting into this lead a little bit, so he has to stay up here. Chuck Sweeting, he has to stay up here as well. So if that 77 can't get past by that 74, that is big news for the 26. I think he gets the tiebreaker.
Time is running out for the drivers behind. Matt Gruenberg and James Miller have gone nowhere, but look at them kind of using each other to go forward. Last time by, they were almost, well, Matt Gruenberg was a little slower than the leader. James Miller was a little faster, but they're going to have to be better than a half a tenth here and a half a tenth there. Liam, they're 3 seconds back. That's a long bit of ground to make up, and Race Clark and Chuck Sweeting continue to run pretty competitive laps.
And then we saw later in that run, they couldn't really pass each other. Matt, we saw him. He wanted to get by that 09, but he just couldn't get there. And if, they can burn up the tires trying to catch him, that would be big later in the run. If they get to them, it's a whole thing to catch them, but it's a whole other thing to pass them.
45 laps to go when we get back to the stripe. And the time is ticking. 23 minutes of racing left. Race Clark, Chuck Sweeting going for the race lead. I think the 26 is faster in the long run, and Race Clark would be good to let him by if they're battling the two Chevrolets, the Team AV cars together. But my guess is Race Clark does not care about that. He wants to win this race. He sits in the lead right now, and looking back on his season, he has had a fairly okay one. And he sits, let's see where Race Clark is. He's 5th in the points. He has not won a race. He'd love to win, but Chuck Sweeting hasn't won either. So 2 drivers who have not won make that 3 with Drew Eisenman up there. There's everybody inside the top 5 has yet to win a race this season.
Yeah, and this would be big for Race Clark. We saw him have really good runs this season. Not last season, not so much. The season before, again, not so much. But he's been really coming to life with this 87 car. And it would be big for him to get a win. As you see him slide off the corner, 26 tags the wall there just a touch. But he's not able to carry the momentum down the straight. A little bit of damage on that 26 car from the hit. But he's not able to quite get there. But that'd be big for this top 5 to snag a win.
Brent Miller and Michael Goodman going at it for 7th. These drivers are also on the bubble in the chase. The 44 will get on by, and he will pass the 89 for that 7th spot. Matt Gruenberg has started to reel them in. But again, that last time by, they're half a tenth quicker than the race leaders, but that's not going to do it. They are still 2.8 seconds back with just over 40 to go.
That's probably, it's a little much to be slower for Matt Gruenberg and James Miller. So they have to make something happen as he actually led James Miller by, so that might be a little bit more beneficial as he's actually quicker. 2.2 seconds, that's not too far behind if he can keep those laps going. But he has a bunch of cars to pass here.
For the race lead, the crowd's cheering as they come up off of turn number 2. And Chuck Sweeting sits only a 10th behind the 22 of Race Clark and the Dr. Pepper Ford Thunderbird. Chuck Sweeting in the magenta and black Chevrolet. Drew Eisenman running the pink and white on the Eisen Designs Eisentech Enterprises 77. Nick Boyd got Doritos on the car tonight, the classic scheme. Kevin Finn in behind running the Fanatec car. I'm sure he'd love to use the Fanatec gear to get himself up a little bit higher in the order. 40 laps to go next time by the stripe here, Liam. And the top 5 separated by 7/10. Then it's 1.2 back to 6th place Justin Cole.
Yeah, just under 20 minutes left in this race. It's just a question if they can get it done. That 54 and 09, they're running slower now because they're back in this traffic here, so they can't really make something happen. The 22 and 26, they can probably afford to battle just a little bit, but they're having trouble getting their way through this field. This 89 is slowing them up.
Through turn number 1, the speeds have been climbing. We have not seen hugely significant tire wear tonight. We saw the undercut work. We didn't really get a chance to see what would happen if somebody tried something different. Sweeting pops out of line, not enough of a run, too much with it. So he'll have to comply and be a good little soldier for now. But I don't think that's going to last the entire race. I think Chuck Sweeting is hungry. He has been massively successful in 3-wide racing league in the past. And how great would it be with only a couple rounds left in 3-wide before they go on hiatus for 2021? How great would it be to lock up a victory after a long winless streak?
Yeah, it would be great for Race Clark. It would be probably even better for Chuck Sweeting. He's been so close.
Oh.
He hasn't won yet. It's really close off the corner. That 26 is going to try to get to the inside in the straightaway. They're side by side. It has to happen here. They can't lose too much time for that 54 and 09. I think they have to kind of take care of each other just a little bit just to make sure they can't lose this race and none of them wins.
Well, the 22 and 77 might have a little bit of incentive to work together here as the 26 tries to complete this pass. The outside lane has come in slightly, but not enough. Race Clark is cleared. Move Chuck Sweeting back to the race lead as Gruenberg is now 2.2 seconds behind the race leader. James Miller 2.5. So they've gotten separated now with the 44 of Goodman in between.
And if you're the 26, I think he's going to try to drive away a little bit, but that 54 and 09, they still have their work cut out for him. They still have to pull on a second and change, and they also have to get by the 52, 74, 14, 77, and 22 to even be in the battle for the win. So it's going to be interesting to see, can they get by these drivers in an efficient time in order to catch the 26 of Chuck Sweeting, because I'm pretty sure he's going to try to put down some hot laps here to try to get away.
1/10 is the lead now that Chuck Sweeting has. If he wins this race, he will be in the chase. Again, on the bubble coming in, 14th position, 1 point back from 12th. 12th place was tied tonight coming into the evening, tied between Michael Goodman and Skylar Nissel. They have had less than good races. Nissel's back in 13th. Goodman is back in 9th. So that 1 point quickly swings the other way massively. And Chuck Sweeting has led a whole bunch of laps here tonight as well, which is going to help his case.
Yeah, he's led more laps than Nick Boyd. And Nick Boyd, he's not too far back, so he's 5th. It'd be a top 5 run, and I think he'd be able to steal his way in that second to last spot. So at 74, he's been running really well tonight, and we turn the top 10 day into a top 5 day. And Drew Eisenman, he's also in this picture. So say if these two get together, as the 26 smacks the wall there, he can't really spend too much time up there. He has to get right back by the 22 though.
Yeah, probably not a good idea to spend any time in the fence, but through goes the 22 to the lead. And now the 77 comes up to try to take second place away. This is not what they want to do if they want to keep that 54 and 09 behind them. If they fight too much, those drivers will come forward. Take a look at the wins column. 6 wins for the 09 of James Miller. You can't tell me you can count him out just yet. With over 30 to go, he's still coming. 6 wins. He could make it 7 tonight if drivers aren't careful.
At 2.3 seconds, I hope these guys aren't really getting a little excited right now, because they can't be like, okay, we have this one, it can only be us. And then, 5-10 laps later, there's the 09. So they have to be taking care of each other just a little bit. I know they're hungry to win, but they can't let them get by them.
And Matt Gruenberg, think about him. He has 2 wins this season. That's not enough. He usually walks out with 4, 5, maybe 6 wins. He is still hungry, and he only has 2 this season. He's also the closer one to the front, 1.8 back from the race lead as we approach 33 laps to go. And for 4th place now, Kevin Finn and Chuck Sweeting contesting to grab 3rd.
They're running out of cars between each other. That 26 is going to lose 2 spots there in one corner. So that 77 is all over the back bumper, or has a earful of the 14 cars. So he's going to settle in behind him, and the 26 is going to lose 2 spots there. And Nick Boyd is going to try to settle in behind him as well. So these guys are going to get in the train together, and they're trying to pull away. And the 52 and 54, they're battling, and the 54 is going to get that 6th spot.
Look at this battle. 5 cars on top of each other here. 32 laps to go this time by. Race Clark leads the way. Kevin Finn and Drew Eisenman battling for 2nd. 3 Thunderbirds battling at the front. It's like watching an air show here as they come out of turn number 2. Chuck Sweeting in 4th and Nick Boyd still in 5th, trying to hang on to his chase spot. He came into the night, I think, 10th, so he should be okay if he finishes here. The drivers he was battling in the chase bubble still behind him, but don't give up too many spots. Look at the 26. He wants back by the 14.
And that 26 is being really aggressive right now. I don't think that's the move, because that 54 and the 09, they've been really quick. 1.6 seconds, you see them taper off a little bit, but then they cut in a really big amount of time in one lap. And then they kind of taper off a bit, and they cut in. It's like a cycle with those guys. You see there's nothing separating between them and the pack. It's just a matter of can they get by each other in a timely manner.
Next time by will be 30 laps to go, and in my brain, every time I see 30 to go, my brain starts to think about the end of this race. We are done making pit stops unless there's a caution. We are done messing around. We're done strategizing. It's go time. You talked earlier about how this kind of resembled a plate race with how close it was. That seems to be like what we're gearing up for here at the end. It's about strategically placing yourself on the racetrack, but you don't really get a choice once you set the car for the corner. You can't really change lanes without understeering and going up the racetrack and losing a bunch of ground. You have to commit and stick to it. Eisenman back to 2nd.
And Eisenman has a clean car compared to that 22 car. That thing has no scratches on it. So that 77, he's in a better spot right now. And that 22 can't really settle his car on the bottom. So that 77, he has to find a way to pin his car to the bottom and try to get the line. But you see that 09 and 54. You see these guys go by, 09, 54, and go by as well. So that 54, he's cutting into that lead quickly. It's just a matter of can he get to the lead.
Race Clark is the current leader in the number 22. We're going to pull up here the values, the lap times here between the 22 and 54. A positive number tells you that Gruenberg is coming, that Race Clark is slower, and a negative number tells us that Race Clark is driving away. My prediction is that these final 25 or 30 laps, that number will be positive, a whole lot more than it's negative. This time through, what's it going to be? Another positive 1/10 gain for Matt Gruenberg. We'll keep this up for the next couple laps. Look at this out of turn 2. Look at the 14 and 77 going at it. And 3 Thunderbirds line astern as they head down the back straightaway, all probably working together. And Chuck Sweeting has no friends with him. He's going to have to make it all happen himself.
I think they noticed that they have to work together a little bit too late into this run, and I think that's going to be Matt Gruenberg versus these guys, because you see James Miller, he's backing off a little bit, and that's smart, because that gives him the ability to have the 54 carve his way through him, and he can just follow his way through. And once the 54 gets to the lead, he can just attack from there and steal the win away. But that 22, he's going to be as aggressive as he can to get to that 50, or keep that 54 behind him. And you see the 54, he's joined the pack now. He wants some of the action.
Again, another 10th quicker, and he is 8 tenths back. If he continues to gain a 10th a lap, he'd be there in 8 laps. We have still 26 to go, but again, he's going to get slowed down by the 5 cars between him and Race Clark. So now it's up to the 74 Nick Boyd to play rear gunner as they battle for position in front of him. The 14 of Kevin Finn swaps to 2nd. Eisenman now battling with Sweeting for 3rd. They've all got to work together. This is now a team effort against the Team AV guys, whether or not they know it.
Yeah, I think they noticed a little bit too late there that they are really fast compared to these guys. So that 54 car, he's going to be the guy that has to beat him. And that 09, he's sort of tapered off a little bit with his lap times. He's running a little bit slower than that 22 car is. So that 09 car, he's probably saving his stuff for later. to that 54 car. You know, it's time to go. You have to get by these guys, and they were watching it really tight in the corner. That 54 has to lift. That's big for the 22.
Yeah, Nick Boyd had to lift. Oh, big slide for the 14 at the exit of 2. He gathers it back up, pulls back into line. The 26 going to go to the outside now. Nick Boyd chucked it down into 1. He slid up the racetrack, held up the 54 for a corner and a half. Now the 77 going to try to do the same as they roll out of turn 4. 24 laps to go now as Race Clark and Kevin Finn try to bring the Fords to victory lane. The Chevrolets coming from behind.
Yeah, and that 74 is holding off that 54 nicely. That's exactly what the 22 wants. He actually is close to putting a second right back on the 54 car, but the 22 is trying to pull away. But the 54 and 74, these are the guys that are battling. And that 09, he's sort of following his way through there. So I think my prediction was right with James Miller, how he's going to attack this race here. He's all over the back bumper of the 74, really close there. Almost spun him out.
Arm your men and create your defenses. We're coming to 20 laps to go. And if you don't have your walls built up, I think Gruenberg and the 09 of James Miller are about to throw some cannonballs into this whole thing and knock it all down. They have won almost everything this year. 8 wins in the first 10 races between them. We're in race number 11 of the season, so only 3 races have gone elsewhere outside of Team AV. Actually make that 2 races because the 98 has one as well. So they have been a dominant team today, and they're going to load their armaments and get prepared to go run down those top 3 as the 54 goes to 4th.
I don't think he's going to get it quite easily from the 77 car. He's really hungry for a win. So at 77, he's actually going to drift back a little bit, but the 77 is going to try to get a good run off the corner. He's going to hold up that 09. The 54, though, he's going to drive away.
Kevin Finn feeling impatient now, seeing those drivers get closer. Chuck Sweeting's got to feel the same. 2 Fords out front, then a Chevrolet, and then the 2 teammates, the Team AV cars, Matt Gruenberg, James Miller. 2 wins in 4th, 6 wins in 5th for the 09 car.
Yeah, and these guys have been really quick. As the 22, really close there with the 50 or the 14 and 22. They can't do that because the more time they lose, it just gives the 54 and 09 more advantage to them. So the 54 or the 22 and 14 and 26, they have to work together to make sure those 2 guys can't get by the 3 of them.
This time through, 20 laps to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway. It has been 180 laps of high-intensity action, a handful of yellows to split everything up, but at the front of the field for most of the night, it had been the 09, the 54, and the 17. Well, we saw the 17 car out with a penalty, but at the front now, it's a pair of Fords trying to steal a win away from the incumbents this season. It's election year, that's right, but the incumbents are going to get voted for if they continue to get run down. The 22 and the 14 out front, but they are running out of time to hang on to this. 19 to go this time by, Liam.
Yeah, and that 54 and 09, they've been really quick, only 4/10 back. They reel in from 3.2, so that's just really impressive. It shows how good they really are, and they're all in one camera swipe. So those 4 and 5 cars, they're in a blanket right now. That 77 is mired back, and the 22 and 14 and 26, they have to make sure that 54 can't get to their inside, because once he does, that's pretty much it. As the 14 is going to battle with this 26 car, I don't think that's wise. They can't block the track. They have to leave the bottom line closed. And that 26 is going to do it. He's going to try to get to the outside here. I just don't think this is the move.
This will open the door on the bottom for the 54 to pass one of these cars. 18 to go. Race Clark out up front. He is winless this season. So is the 14. So is the 26. The only 2 who are not inside the top 5, the guys in 4th and 5th. Still 1, 2, 3. Clark, Finn, Sweeting as they come out of turn 2. Now this time they go both defensive down the back straightaway, still fighting each other with Gruenberg watching from behind.
They're probably getting frustrated with each other. They cannot let each other get by, or let this 54 by each other, but they're battling each other because one thinks they're faster than the other, and that just allows the 54 to get to the outside of 26. That's one last car between the bumper, or the buffer, between him and the 54, the 22 and the 54, that is, as the 54 is not going to be able to get too much of a run going. We talked about it earlier. It's one thing to catch him. It's another thing to pass him.
Well, he's stuck here right now on the quarter panel of the 14, but this will be short work if he can get down here in turn number 3. Going to dive the car under. Race Clark last lap was a 32.310, a hair quicker than Gruenberg in 3rd, but he's battling for position. So as soon as he's clear, he will run quicker again. Sweeting, 2nd place across the line, 16 laps to go. Gruenberg now, he'll have 3rd down here in turn 1 if the 14 gives up. Bit of a bump there off the apron.
Oh, that '09 got really aggressive into that corner. I think that was a little too aggressive for his liking, and they're still side by sides. This is exactly what the 22 wants. He's probably giving kudos to him with that 54 and 20 or 14. This is the spot here, because I think once that 26 or he gets by the 14, the 26 is going to be made easy work for this 54.
Count the clock. 8 minutes left if we go green all the way to the end. A caution might be the only thing that saves Race Clark at this point with the pace that we're seeing. Look at the 09 of Miller. He just stuck that car down there in turn 1 and 2. He made it stick. Now these drivers that restarted 9th and 10th, they battled their way through the field. Now they're 4th and 3rd and 4th now with 14 to go. Race Clark and Chuck Sweeting now not teammates, not necessarily having a vested interest in each other, but both working together to keep those drivers behind them out of the lead.
Yeah, they want to make sure it can be a battle between them and not a battle between the top 4. So they have to make sure that 54 and 09 can stay behind them, because they really want to end the streak of Team FE wins.
Sweeting off the bottom of the racetrack just a little bit, going to hurt the momentum down the back straightaway. The 54 will build it up, but a car length and a half between their rear bumper to the front bumper, and the laps keep ticking. Race Clark was quicker that time at 32.278. but not quicker than the drivers in 3rd and 4th. So he is going to feel the pressure here in the closing moments. He cannot fall to this pressure.
Yeah, he has to make sure that he can keep calm and composed, because that 26 he's mirror driving that 54, and that's going to be pretty much it for the battle for second. But he's going to get a nice run off the top.
Oh, the 26 is in the middle of the wall. He scrapes it, pulls down the racetrack. The 54 all the way to the white line. He's through to second, and the 09 is through to third. The defenses have fallen, and now Race Clark is under attack.
And Race Clark, he has to put together some good laps here. He has to make sure those two can't get enough of an advantage. But you just see how good that 54 is on corner exit. He's able to get such a good run. But Race Clark, he's just so much pressure put on him right now. He can't crumble.
The infantry has arrived on the doorstep of the 22 as they come off of that second corner, and now it's just going to be a matter of time, I feel. If there's a caution, it could change things. There's a bunch of battles going on the racetrack, but the most important one for the lead, Clark leaves the bottom lane open. Here comes the 54. It's taken them about 30, 40 laps worth of time, but they are here and ready to go. 1, 2, 3, Clark, Gruenberg, Miller, 8 wins amongst the top 3 cars, none of them from the leader.
And if you're the 22, you may have to do some blocking here to keep that 54 behind him. I know that's really frowned upon on iRacing, but that 54, he cannot let him get to his inside in the corner, because that's pretty much it for him.
I don't even know if it's the middle of the corner. I think he's got to worry about the corner exits. Don't charge the corner and come up off the corner too high. Stick to the bottom. Make them go the long way around. You see him kind of doing that there. He's not drifting up like he was the previous lap. 10 laps to go from Charlotte. Gruenberg going high. I think he sees what the 22 is trying to do.
Yeah, and I think the 22 is going to slam the door a few times. That 54 is going to try to get the run in here, and it's not going to be able to do enough to get a good run, because that 09's on his inside, and that prevents the 54 from swinging low going into 3 here, and that 22 is taking a defensive line. I like that.
I like what Race Clark is doing, but can he hold on for 9 more laps? That's a lot to ask out of Race Clark as they come out of turn 4. The 54 goes to the right this time. I like Race Clark's driving defensive. I think that's going to work. If he can just keep him stuck up there, that'll delay the time, but this is still not going to keep him away from maybe a bump and run, which is always a possibility in these cars.
Look, he just took 3rd away. It's the 26 of Chuck Sweeting, so that separates the teammates there. They cannot work together now. So that 54, he has to make sure that 26 cannot get to him, because that allows the 22 to keep the spot.
This is probably one of the best races I've seen on Sim TV ever. From start to finish, a 200-lapper that we thought would have long sections of no passing, some boring racing. Not the case. Chuck Sweeting going back for second on the front straight. 8 to go. The clock running out. Race Clark trying to keep the field from storming him here in the final 7 or 8 laps.
Yeah, and the 54 is going to have to settle behind him, but man, they're going to battle here. Not just good news for the 22, because he can try to get a lap off of this pressure, but it's not going to be enough to keep that 54 behind him. I think that 54 is going to be able to get there. It's just a matter of when that 22 makes the mistake. He cannot crumble, as there he is. He has to lift really a lot more than that 54 has, but that 54 is going to try to get the run off the corner. Not going to be enough.
Race Clark's best friend is Chuck Sweeting, but Chuck Sweeting has just faltered out of turn 4. Gruenberg back to second place and charging on the high side now. But if these two fight for second, the 54 and the 26, it's game over. They won't be able to pass the 22 if they stay side by side like this. So again, Race Clark's best buddy is in that magenta and black 26 Chevrolet.
I like what that 26 is doing. He's preventing him from getting to the bottom so he cannot charge up a run on that 22 car. And that 22 car, he's going to try to drive away a little bit. He's not as good in corner exit, but he can try to, learn a few things here and there. Once he does, it prevents the 54 to get a good advantage on that 22.
6 laps to go. The time this is going to feel like the longest 6 laps of Race Clark's life. This has been one of the hardest fought battles I've ever seen in the 3-Wide Racing League. A touch behind him. 3rd place under attack. It's the 26 and 09. Banging doors as they come off turn 2. Miller charges to the bottom. If these two teammates get lined up, there's no telling how fast they'd be able to run down the 22. 5 laps to go this time from Charlotte.
I think the 22 is going to maybe be able to hold on here because that 26 is just so much better than the 54 and 09. He's going to go to the inside here, and that's going to be big news for the 22. He's going to be really close alongside him. He might clear him, not quite.
Side by side for second. Again, the 26. He is Race Clark's best friend. They are going to have distance rings and friendship bracelets and all the things that come with it after this race if Race Clark can hang on, because they are just wasting each other's time back here for a second, and Clark now has a 4/10 of a second lead, a half a second lead, 4 to go.
Yeah, and that's a 10th a lap. I don't think that's going to be enough, especially with how they abuse their tires now. The 22 really is going into the corner. He has to run hot laps now. As that 26 goes to second, that's going to write off the 54 and 4 or the 09. They're probably not pleased with this 26 car one bit.
He has been a mosquito in the ear for this Team AV drivers as they come through turn 3. Now Chuck Sweeting is the rolling roadblock for the 09 and 54. Now they're fighting amongst themselves with 3 laps to go. Now Race Clark has to look in the mirror and say, hey, those 2 Chevrolets that were fighting me earlier, they're out of the picture now. But is the one that was helping me going to hurt me here and turn on me in the final 3 laps?
And I think that's going to be pretty much it for them. I don't think they can win from 8/10 back. That's 4/10 a lap. That's a little much to ask. So that's going to be pretty much it for that. It's going to be a matter of can Chuck Sweeting get there and make his first career win in this league.
I don't think it'd be his first career win. It would be his first win of the season as we come to 2 laps to go. It's 3 miles for Race Clark. Chuck Sweeting gained a 10th and a half there. He's got the time to get there. We'll see if he can make it up. 2 to go from Charlotte.
I think that 26 is better than this 22 car. They're really close with each other on lap time. As that 22 pulls a little bit on the straightaway, it's a matter of can he get into 3 and 4 well enough.
Race Clark in this event started this race in 7th spot. He sits 5th in the point standings, certainly within the championship chase. Chuck Sweeting was fighting for a spot in the chase. He might get there. The white flag is out. 1 more lap to go from Charlotte. And for Race Clark, the restart, battling up front, trying to run away from the drivers behind him. Not only did they catch him, they ran him down and almost had him pass, but Clark has held on, and it's 1 more straightaway now. The 22 this season has been winless, as has the 26, but Sweeting and Race Clark will both get to run for the championship out of turn number 4. Race Clark, for the first time this season, is a winner in the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. In a spectacular fashion, he holds off the juggernauts of 3-Wide and gets it done at Charlotte. I have never seen a race like that be that good for that long and finish in an upset like that.
Yeah, I thought for sure the 54 and 09 were going to charge enough of a run, and Chuck Sweeting, he's going to give a little bit of a victory tap to that number 22 car. But man, what a great race, and the 2 underdogs, the Davids beat the Goliaths out there, and the 22 is going to burn it down. A little bit of congratulations bumps, and there he goes. Well-deserved burnouts for Race Clark. First win of the season for him. He breaks the streak of Team AV wins.
What a drive. Race Clark has always impressed me as a driver on the racetrack. The wins are few and far between. They're hard to get, and they're so hard to get holding off the drivers that he did tonight. I don't think there'll ever be a win that he is as proud of as the one he just got. And everybody that's watching on Sim TV right now got to watch that happen in real time and think about Chuck Sweeting. The battle that he had is what saved Race Clark. And as I was joking, friendship bracelets, a Christmas card, something has got to be going from Race Clark's home to Chuck Sweeting's, because Chuck Sweeting certainly contributed to that victory for the 22. And they're not teammates, but they're friends right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the 26 is going to expect a push from the 22, maybe at a Talladega or something. He may expect a little bit of, a little bit of help there. But as you see, Race Clark is your winner. Chuck Sweeting second. James Miller 7/10 back in third. Matt Gruenberg fourth. We thought he would be the guy that would run him down. Kevin Finn fifth. Drew Esmond sixth. Nick Boyd seventh. I'm not sure if he's able to make it into the chase. It might be close between him and Brent Miller. Justin Kolb 8th, Brent Miller 9th, and Tanner Sharp rounds up the top 10.
In 11th place, Michael Goodman, Jonathan Cogswell, Skylar Nissel, Mike Stevens, Brady Smith, the rest of the order. For Cameron Rich, a very disappointing night after receiving a penalty. For Race Clark, though, as he does the Polish victory lap, driving around, this is a special one. I mean, there are wins, and then there are wins, and this is one of the latter that just feels so accomplishing. And to get it done in a car like this, at a track this fast, in the way that he did it, is certainly something that we have not seen on SimTV in quite some time. So congratulations to Race Clark in the 22. He's going to finish it off. We'll be back in just a moment for interviews. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back live to SimTV and the 3 Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series, the regular season finale. And it's James Miller who's with us now after finishing in third place, right in front of his teammate Matt Gruenberg. The battle on the restart after getting set back in traffic, not quite enough, James, but my goodness, what a race tonight. You guys were obviously the class of the field, you and your teammate, but what Race and Chuck did there at the end of this race, you have to admire that. But what did it look like from inside the cockpit?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously disappointed in third after winning so much this season, but I mean, really for the ups and downs this race had, I mean, getting spun around like lap 10, thankfully didn't hit anything. To come back during that next green flag run and take the lead before the pit stop from that far back was just wild. And I was like, all right. And when we came in, the three of us checked or compared tire wear, and my right front was still at like 37%. So I don't know what I was doing, but it was going good. And then that unfortunate caution in the middle of our pit stop. I'm not sure if really that pit stop would have done much for me because I was already having a hard time keeping Matt behind me and trying to run my line. I just knew I couldn't let him get a lap ahead of me because I had the better long run. But yeah, the caution came out and we had to start from the back again for me. But just following Matt and trying to pick our way through everybody, I was definitely worried it wasn't going to work at first. And then within the last 10 laps, we were right there. But Race was doing everything he needed to do to keep that lead, to make it hard to pass, and the three of us really weren't helping each other out. I mean, it was more of a battle for second, and Race pulling away at the end there. I know Chuck got on the back of me and washed me way up, and that really killed the right front. So I was really digging hard at the end to pass Matt, which I'm happy I got to pass Matt at least for battling him the whole time. Just disappointed can't get there because I felt like I'm sure we all felt like that. But I felt like if I could get to race, I could have passed him and took the win away. But it was a good regular season. We're gonna move on to the playoffs now. Yeah, I'm tired.
I think we're all tired, but James, good luck to you in the chase. It begins next week, and we'll look forward to seeing you back out there going for race wins. Thanks so much for talking to us. Good run tonight. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Moving on now to second place, Chuck Sweeting in the number 26. A heroic effort, not only to charge from 14th to 9th in the points and solidify a spot in the chase, Chuck, a second place run after starting in 8th, and I think Race Clark is probably going to look up at you as a hero in those closing laps, holding back the two juggernauts of the series this season. Congratulations on a second place run. Not quite a win, but it's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it does feel good. No, Race doesn't owe me anything. If I could have got to him and passed him, I'd have done that too. But that was just, I don't know. I'm struggling so hard with figuring out how hard to run these cars without burning the tires off. And I don't know. I guess I learned a little bit tonight because I had a little bit more speed. But that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of close racing right there at the end. So congrats to Race here and that.
Plus 5 spots in the point standings as we head into our next round, which will begin next week at Rockingham Speedway. Your thoughts on the chase? You're in it now, the championship. Is that on the table for you? Because it seems like recently you've been having some really solid finishes.
Yeah, I didn't think the chase was a possibility going into the race tonight, and so I'm surprised. I'm looking forward to it. I like Rockingham. Should be a lot of fun in these cars. We had a little fender rubbing tonight and using the bumpers a little bit, but nothing bad, and could be a little bit tighter at Rockingham, so we'll see how that goes.
All right, Chuck Sweeting, second place tonight. Congratulations, chase competitor. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks a lot, Con.
Sure thing. And moving on now to our last driver and the winner of tonight's event, the season finale of the regular season, Race Clark, 7th to 1st. And I'm sure you are sweating and hot and stressed out, but finally a win this season and in a spectacular fashion. First of all, immense driving. Congratulations. Incredible defense. How'd you do it? Take me through your mindset those last 30 or 40 laps.
Man, Kyle, it feels great to hear from you. Thank you. I haven't used my brain that hard since like middle school. I was making that car 3 lanes wide, but I don't feel like I was in the way, except for a few times where I got tied off 4, and I was like, if I give him the bottom, I just waited out. But yeah, it's like everybody took their turn at me, and I was keeping an eye on Matt and James. Thankfully, they had to battle to get to me. That caution was crazy convenient for me. I'll say it, because I stayed out early, got messed up, had to fight back to get back on the same tire strategy, and that caution put me on brand new tires on the front row first, and with Matt and James back there. So a lot of things had to go my way, but man, that was so much fun.
Thinking back to the beginning of the season, I mean, it's been no mystery that there's been some struggles in the past in previous seasons, but this season something's different. I'm not sure if it's the car, if it's the driver, but something has kind of lit a fire under you, and you're 5th in the standings coming into the night. You're definitely now a chase competitor. You moved up to 4th in the standings heading into next week. What's different, and are you a serious championship competitor? Because from what I've seen the last couple of weeks, it definitely seems like you're there. Hell
yeah. It was a number of things. Like you say, I haven't been too high. I kind of like the Talladega win last year was complete luck. There was a combination of all my real life friends getting into iRacing, so I've been kind of more fired up about it. It's the last year of 3-wide racing. I want to put on a good show. We've been running like a little friendly 87 Cup Car League, so I've been getting a lot of time in it. Kind of put all those things together, and I've thankfully had a lot of good pace. And I mean, we'll see. Things have to go my way, of course, but James and Matt are always there. Drew's really fast. Jeff is fast, but I definitely think I can get up in the mix, make it to the top 3. Couple things go my way. Who knows, Kyle? Who knows?
In Victory Lane, often drivers will spray their Coke around tonight. It's Diet Dr. Pepper in Victory Lane for Race Clark. Hey, congratulations. We'll see you next week. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Kyle. If you don't mind, I just want to say shout out to all my friends watching. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Kyle, for the good show.
Thanks so much, Race. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.
Thank you, Kyle. Bye-bye.
That'll wrap things up here from Charlotte Motor Speedway, the regular season finale for the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. The chase competitors are as follows: James Miller, Matt Gruenberg, Drew Eisenman, Race Clark, Jeffrey Fisher, Justin Kolb, Jordan McEvoy, Nick Boyd, Chuck Sweeting, Brent Miller, Mike Stevens, and Nick Miller. Nick Miller made it into the chase by 2 points over Michael Goodman, who drops out. He will not compete in the chase, and neither will Skylar Nissel with a disappointing 13th place finish. We'll see those 12 drivers go at it. There'll be an elimination about halfway through the chase, and they'll run all the way out to the season finale at Homestead on December 14th. Thank you so much for watching on Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer. We'll see you next week on Monday night for the chase to begin. Tomorrow, Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series action. Wednesday, DC Region SCCA from Dunnington, and Thursday, Scars Ferrari Challenge from Watkins Glen. We'll see you next time on Sim TV.